Blog Talk Radio.
Yo, what's up, world? It's badass thuggin' like I usually do, and you better turn it up, bust some speakers out, cause we off the motherfucking cuff. You dig how we do it? Dog Pound Gangsters 2000 and beyond. Black.
Yo, check this out. This is your girl, Cola Vogue, and I'm chilling with my boys right here on Off the Cuff Radio. Cause we off the cuff right now. You dig?
Bet. What's up? It's your boy Lil Yap from UNLV, bragging up from the river, cooling with my homies and my family at Off the Cuff Radio. Y'all be sure to tune in on Fridays and get the latest scoop and find out what's happening. You heard me?
Tiffany Lavon.
And it's Queen Crazy, your girl's favorite bartender.
And we're from
Sex on the Rocks podcast.
Alright, you're now tuning in to Off the Cuff Radio.
Yeah, because they keep representing that real hip-hop. Well, much love.
Alright.
Y'all, this is Miss Irresistible giving a shout out to the livest show on Friday nights Off the Cuff Radio. And I'm live from the 704. Make sure y'all tune in for the blazing hot music.
Hey y'all, this is Stacey Lachey giving a shout out to King Eric and Off the Cuff Radio.
What's shaking, y'all? This is the Grand, one half of Lost Cause and 1/3 of that drive time thing. Sending my love to the homies over at Off the Cuff Radio. Tune in every Friday night for some real deal hip-hop conversation. These dudes are the connoisseurs of this thing. You already know what it is. BX Stand Up, Hutch City, we're shaking. Peace.
Yo, this is Dope Fresh to Dine, and y'all tuned in to the most raw, uncut show on radio, the Guillotine Team, Off the Cuff, and yo, Eric, Sandman, off of these clowns' heads.
KMG, more flex in the sex on the beat.
My brother takes two to tangle. Since we got him, we better use the right
so
angle.
I'ma push in the back of the bush, cause it's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, cause we got the goods for your suckers and 90 deuce, the whole pot of gumbo, the whole gallon of
juice. So I'ma ease up on them real quick, watch me hit them.
Let the ratio of what we hit them up for, cause when I'm on the doctor, roll a step and coming out, I take your car, your woman, your whole damn house.
So now I step with the quickness and flex my ends to my bends and let God be the witness.
I'm gonna teach you how to body slam. Let me show you. But step into my wall, I got something dope for you.
So hold on to my woody and don't be scared when we do the bump boogie.
It's like bump, 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 bump. That's the sound of my heater when the ill stuff
I keep it strictly confidential. Bulletproof is requested. Got the fist in my hand and I've already blessed.
So toast to the boogie G, cause I'm T-O-L-D. The beat is kinda humping and I'm
cause everything is on the one. It's a natural high when I get to the hook of the joint. You know why.
Everything is fine when you're rolling with your homies in the little bit with VSOP. Now the lady is hot with a whole lot of chronic and a gallon of the VSOP. If you want to feel fine, free your mind, take a couple of mega shots of VSOP. Now you can get hype and you turn into a G with a little bit.
Yeah. Episode 369 underway. That's that classic VSOP from that classic Above the Law album, Black Mafia Life. If y'all want to hear the whole thing, y'all need to take your asses to eBay and pay $70 and get that whole album. That's right. Welcome to Off the Cuff Radio. And we're going to have a live show, live and direct tonight, man. I'm your host, King Eric, alongside T-Max with the facts.
What it do, man. OTC on a Friday night, man. Doing it like we always do, live and direct. Shout out to our co-host, the Spirit Ella, the Sandman, Lady Chinchilla, So Illa. Shout out to Buddy Boy Entertainment, Dirty Basement, Radio, Jesse's Boutique, and Core Financial, and King. We, once again, in the illustrious run of Off the Cuff Radio, of legends we've had, once again tonight, we have one of the most esteemed pioneers, a member of one of the most legendary rap groups later, putting it on for Pimpin' Town, Pomona, California. This man has crafted some of the undisputable, stone cold, hardcore, enduring classics in hip-hop, history. This man has helped define, along with Above the Law, what would be known as G-Funk. And we are so humbled, we are so privileged, we are so honored tonight to bring on the man, the legend, the pioneer, the icon, Big Hutch. What it do?
What up with it?
What's good, man?
What up? What's good with it, y'all? What's going on? What's happening?
We good, man. We good. Great to have you on, man.
Can y'all hear me good? Can y'all hear me good, man?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Perfect.
Oh, man, what's up, man? Thanks for the intro, man. And, first of all, thanks for having me, man. I want to say, rest in peace, my brother KMG, and, and then shout out to the rest of Above the Law, man, and super shout out to my man Cocaine, for hooking us up, man. It's humbling, man, to, be doing something so long and be respected, like that. So I appreciate you guys for having me.
Yes, sir. Now, before we get the interview on the line, we got an 818 caller, man. Matter of fact, from your area, maybe somebody's showing some love. So let's see who that is.
Well, I hope so.
Man, what's up? Is this the one only Cole 187 on the line?
Oh man, this is who it is, man. What's going on?
What's up? This Dyer motherfucking man.
What's up? Well, I know the voice. What's up, bro?
Dyer, the OG.
He pulled up out of nowhere.
Had to show some support to my brother from another, Big Hutch right
That's
here.
That's right.
Already. You know what I'm saying?
Mid-Dyer Landscape family, man. You know what I mean? We've been grooving for a minute, man, and so thanks for coming on and shouting, bro. Everybody good, the family straight, right?
Man, everybody great, man. Everybody great. We just chilling.
That's what I'm talking
about. I got to throw it out real quick. Being an independent artist and having somebody like Hutch, basically damn near co-sign you and be like, that's my dude, is a humbling. And I'll tell you what, when you get to work with somebody like Hutch, it changes your whole life. It changes your whole view on music. It changes the whole way you do things. So just know this, hip-hop is the way it is today because of this gentleman right here. You know what I mean? So salute to my fam, man. It's just the way it go.
Well, thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Man, look,
Absolutely.
Dyer, it's always great to hear from you, man. Shout out to Dyer for Radio, man. Our homie Dyer Land.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And they doing big things with the podcast, too, man. Big salute to you, bro.
That's right.
Man, appreciate it. I mean, you guys be killing it, too, man. Like, you know what I mean? I love level-minded people, you know what I'm saying? And you can see it without even having to talk to people all the time,
Definitely. So, I guess we're going to go ahead and get on to it,
I just wanted to chime in real quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. You always welcome to stay in the queue, man. Yeah, you good. Yeah, but
I'm going to put myself on mute and enjoy the show. Y'all do your thing.
Definitely.
You,
one love, man. God bless.
All right, fam.
Absolutely.
100.
All right, I'll hit you later, Hutch.
All right, bro. 1. Love you.
Man, so, shout out to Dyer Lansky, Dyer for Radio, man. A good friend of Off the Cuff, man. Solid dude. So I guess we go ahead and get into it. I mean, Hutch, I mean, your legend is, extraordinary. I mean, coming from Pomona, California, man. I mean, y'all.
Yeah, that's right.
I think people really, really, really don't understand the depths, the levels of what you all contributed in terms of, how much you would really, really lay down that foundation. Of course, everyone talks about NWA, of course, which really brought us to the forefront of the West Coast in 1988. Yeah. But NWA opened up the door for so many, West Coast artists.
Absolutely.
And really,
industry itself. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I mean, of course, y'all inception was just legendary in terms of the contributions you would make. I guess we go ahead and give our listeners a quick history lesson. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and also about you are descended from one of the most legendary figures in music history. So yeah, man, go ahead, tell us your story.
Well, we'll start there. First of all, I'm the son of legendary writer and producer Richard Hutchison, Richard Hutch from Motown. Which my dad wrote for the Jackson 5, the Miracles, and the Commodores, and then, his brother, which is my Uncle Willie Hutch, he also assisted him in writing and putting together all the great stuff that you heard, So, yes, I am the descendant of, Richard A. Hutch and Willie Hutch, who everyone should know or they know their work, from I'll Be There to the Mac to Foxy Brown to, sky's the limit, from what the stuff that my Uncle Willie did. I started off, I linked up with a cat. I was hustling in the streets in the 80s, me, DJ Chaos, KMG, rest in peace, and another guy named Gomac. And this other cat was hustling with us. He turned my man Dooley. He turned our his brother and Gomac was hanging out with Laylaw, and they turned our demo over to Laylaw, and he shot it to Eazy E. And this was probably early '88. Right when Straight Outta Compton was just about to bust out, and Eazy E was starting the label. He had already had Supersonic out, and then they were just finishing up Straight Outta Compton and the Eazy Does It album, and they were starting to build a roster. They already was trying to develop the DLC, and then they was doing Miss LA, and they needed another group that they wanted to mirror NWA. And then Layla walked our demo into Ruthless Records, played the Living Like Hustlers demo. And the rest is basically history. They went off on tour. And by the Straight Outta Compton tour, Eazy wanted to sign us. And the rest is history. They got off tour. We laid Living Like Hustlers in 1989. It came out in 1990. Being the fourth group or artist off the roster. Well, fifth with JJ Fad. It was JJ Fad, NWA, Eazy E, DOC, Miss LA, and then Above the Law rounded everything out. And that's, that was the Ruthless record. That was the whole blueprint, the whole foundation of Ruthless Records as we know it today, So.
Definitely. Now, Hutch, when you look at go ahead, King.
Yeah, I was saying that going by that period, it was like Above the Law, being that when Ice Cube left about '89, you guys became like the backbone of the Ruthless. And going to working on Living Like Hustlers, which is a cold album. Like, what do you remember from that time period, it being its most memorable?
Well, I think the most memorable thing is, we bought Living Like Hustlers and it was 80% done. Me and Dre, the most memorable, for me as a producer, the most memorable thing for me was, if you talk about moments of recording it or you talking about things that we done, what happened was I did a lot of stuff at 8 or 16 track studio, right? Well, me and Dre went and re-recorded everything, and that was kind of like how I learned how to actually coming from my pops and my uncle, like being around the studio, but just like looking and observing, that's when I became a person that actually put my hands on the board, actually figured out the frequencies, because we were, you know, as we go along, basically, we were all young kids, you know, just, you know, traveling, you know what I mean, exploring. So I had the opportunity to work with Dre, which you had already done records before, and he actually taught me how to actually lay all of my stuff out. You know, I bought in all my crates. I bought in everything. We re-recorded everything. He showed me about the frequencies, how to tweak shit, and all that kind of stuff. Now, that's my most memorable part as, you know, as a producer. And learning, you know, being under the wing of Dre. You know, I was there when he was mixing, you know, like no one could do it better. And then he was helping me, like, you know, lacing me up on how to actually, when we got in and started doing actually living like hustlers, you know, how to actually, you know, break everything down, the frequencies and all that stuff. So that was probably, as a creative person, like trying to, you know, just being a young guy who, you know, was a sponge and learning and really wanting to really be a professional at a very young age. I was a street kid before that. Like 8 months prior to that, I was on the streets hustling. So I'd be at the studio as kind of like a hobby, and then it became a job to me being up under his wing. So that was an incredible moment. Another is probably the way Ruthless was ran. You know, the way Ruthless was ran creatively was so dope because he had everybody. It was in a sense, people could say it was competition, but everybody inspired each other to do the best. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like how young people might think, like, oh well, I'm envious of that. No, we were, you know, we were actually in a situation to where, you know, we didn't have anything. We didn't know what was going to happen with Cube, because Cube still was kind of around, you know. But the upside of it is that, you know, he still supported what we were doing until he couldn't support it anymore. But I think the upside was everybody was on the same level of trying to make sure that we had the best record came out of Ruthless at that time. You know, and a lot of people would think that, you know, we're trying to top each other, but it's funny because everybody supported each other on that level. Everybody wanted everybody to have the best record, you know. And working with Eazy E, the young Eazy E, you know, it was crazy because he was very young, and he was the CEO of a record label, and he was off the streets like us, you know. But his belief was like, do you know. He didn't come in with this like, oh, I know everything. He actually really didn't know a lot about the creative aspect, but he loved what he was doing, and he was willing to put his coins on up to actually put us out there, you know. So I think those are the most memorable parts, that like how when you first meet some people, you know, it wasn't a Hollywood thing, and they were huge at the time, you know, mind you. It wasn't like small nothing, you know what I mean? They had built up to being that, but at the point that we were starting to make records, they were huge, you know. So it was a very, very incredible moment for us, and for me, you know, as the individual, as a producer and the MC. Yeah.
Like that, T-Max. He dropped a little bit of that game. Although you just called back, man. But and keeping this thing going for a minute. Yeah, I just had to tell him to call back.
Yeah, no doubt. He must have dropped. He must be moving around. But it's all good. Yeah, but
now,
yeah, just, you know, I mean, there's,
I'm here.
Know, with Ruthless,
I'm here.
Okay, you back.
You know, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, man, and I mean, one thing about it, man, is for what y'all did in terms of, you know, how you talk about a camaraderie during that time, I mean, because, you know, Ruthless was like, you know, of course, just moving. I mean, you know, where NWA had put on for South Central, you know, y'all had put on for Eastern Los Angeles, you know, where y'all were from.
Right.
So y'all were beginning, you know, to make y'all name. I mean, shout out to Cal Poly. You know what I'm saying? Eminent Empire.
It became, you know, it kind of was a trifecta, you know, because Pomona is the last city in LA County, so we were kind of like the trifecta. There was nobody from that region that was actually over the top, you know, that had really made their market at that time. That nobody had, not hip hop, you know. So for us to come from there and actually make our mark, you know, was was really incredible thing. We're not attached to Hollywood. We're way far from Hollywood. We had connects in Los Angeles because we politic and hustle through cats from LA. You know what I mean? But far as like the music scene, we had nothing. I mean, that definitely was something that those guys having a great ear with the Compton sound, having a great ear and said, oh, we want these guys sound from out there. You know what I mean? We want to put these guys sound out to the universe, So, yeah, that became like, that kind of locked everything down for us. When you talk about regions, yeah, it was no one in the L.A. County area making noise like that,
Yeah, I mean, tell us a little bit about that hip-hop scene in L.A. in general in terms of what it was like, going back to the days like the Palladium. Of course, you had guys like, Mixmaster Spade.
Yeah,
exactly.
DJ
Aladdin.
You got Spade. You got you got Toddy T. And those are our pioneers. Basically, all the Rhodium stuff. All the guys coming up out of the Rhodium. And you had LA Dream Team. You had Egyptian Lover. You had all the Uncle Jam's Army cats. They were making records. You had the techno hop guys. DJ Pooh. King T, those guys were making hit records. You had Ice-T at the time, the OG Ice-T. Everybody followed Ice-T. Ice-T was, Ice-T was like our LL. You know what I mean? So for us, that scene was incredible. I mean, coming up in that era and not having much but a small community. But shoot, I mean, these guys were plaquing. These guys were making hits. It wasn't small time. I mean, some of these guys had international records at that time. So,
yeah, and you figure too, Hutch, within that 2-year span, of course, Ice-T, I believe, had dropped. I want to say, was it Ryan Page? I believe in 1986.
Yeah, Ryan Page.
Which was
Ryan Page.
Yeah, and of course, and shout out to. We got to give love to the streets out there. Shout out to, Hoover, Five Deuce, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Out there, you know what I mean? And of course,
Absolutely.
King T 2 years later with 88 with Active Fool,
man.
he would drop that.
Active Fool, that's right. Yeah.
All
man.
Shout
all
those
guys are, it's the embryo stages. I think the greatest thing that happened, with that for all of us is that when Ruthless Records came, it changed our ideas. A lot of guys were, a lot of us were just kind of like trying to make records. You know what I mean?
Right.
When Eazy came, he came with a plan. He came with Ruthless Records, and this is how we're gonna move. And Eazy. And Ice-T had the Syndicate, and you know what I mean. So it kind of showed everybody kind of like how to set the table basically. If you want to eat good, that trying to transcend it into a lot of different things that now you see in the modern day with all these other companies coming along, patterning what they did, going into the hood, creating a label, having nothing but artists from the hood, that kind of thing, So that scene, and shout out to Lonzo too, because a lot of us come through Lonzo, from the record scene as well, you know what I mean? So a lot of us, we wouldn't have been connected without, Lonzo, once he really realized that was like the next level of doing things. Lonzo's our OG, so he didn't kind of understand that, he kept from an R&B background, but he's still just as much involved in everything that happened in that culture, you know what I'm saying? As far as our culture at Ruthless Records and everything, and our culture on the West Coast and everything that we all done back then, because he had a spot that, we could actually, put our music out through, and he's one of our pioneers as well.
Definitely. And Hutch, in terms of, and from what y'all had pioneered in terms of the sound, I mean, when you talked about, me and King, we shop this up all the time in terms of just looking at what you all brought to the game. A lot of people, recognize Dre, from the G-Funk with the Chronic, but a lot of people really don't understand it. Like, you all influenced him just as much, y'all worked side by side. So you were pretty much helping Dre, put down what would be the roots of it. Because essentially with what y'all did with Living Like Hustlers and, of course, Vocally Pimping, you know, y'all, these were like albums that came out a year and a half, 2 years before the Chronic would drop. And you all pretty much were laying down what the Chronic would eventually become. You know, but then y'all would.
Like when I first, started, tampering with trying to put chords, melodies, synths, and slowing the beat down, it was very revolutionary, because we came from a boom bap scenario coming out of the late 80s, which we made our first record in 1990 because we recorded it in 89 and it came out in 90, So our thing was to make it more like psychedelic, funky, but still hip-hop with Living Like Hustlers. So that's why the beats are groovy even on there and funky. And Dre's always tell you, like, yeah, your approach is real funky, man. Like, I'm digging that. You know what I mean? And then when I started doing Black Mafia, when I actually integrated like cocaine into the scene, then us as a group, me, Gomac, DJ Gomac, shout out to DJ Gomac, DJ Chaos, KMG, rest in peace. We started integrating more like melodies to things, because we could come together and harmonize and do little chants and because we had all these different voices that we could put together and sound like I used to call us the Goonies. We make the Goonie sound. You know what I mean? So we could come together and chant like we were in the hood, chanting some ill shit and put it on records. That started being able to develop G-Funk. You know what I mean? And that started happening on a record called, Vocally Pimpin'. Which that record ends up being the blueprints to Black Mafia Life, which Black Mafia Life ends up being the influence of the Chronic, And no one stole, I want to make it clear on y'all's show, no one stole anything from us. We all were working together. Dre, Snoop, all those guys were influenced by what we were doing. Warren G, we were one clique at one time, and everyone was influenced about the way we were doing it. The downside was that we were in transition of changing labels from Ruthless Sony to Ruthless Warner Brothers. So our record got held up. Dre leaves. He puts the Chronic out, which, we all was on the same vibe, basically. And you hear that same vibe on the Chronic that you hear on Black Mafia Life. But keep in mind, we recorded Black Mafia Life the same time they recorded Niggas for Life. So, we're on the intro of Niggas for Life. Me, Cocaine, KMG, we're on the intro. We're the intro to Niggas for Life. So, so when he left, he already was like, oh yeah, that G-Funk shit you on, yeah, I'm digging that. And, so it got on him a little bit. Dre's my brother. I work with Dre to this day. So, I have no problem with that. I'm glad that one of the greatest albums in hip-hop is coined with something that I influenced as a young producer. It's great. You know what I mean? Music theory. And really, honestly, y'all, I just was trying to do something. Cocaine will tell you this. I was just trying to do something different that kind of we could separate ourselves from the pack and get out of the boom bap and turn into something that we could identify ourselves and say this is the type of sound we have because of what we come from. For us, we would listen to the Ohio Players and the Bootsy's and the Willie Hutches and say they have their own sound. We want to have our own sound. Guys in hip hop weren't thinking about that. They weren't thinking about that. Like, now, when you get into newer stuff, you get the RZA. The RZA had a sound for Wu-Tang. It wasn't – most of the things in the 80s was just the same drums, the same this, the same that. Great records, you know what I mean? But no one had, like, a sound. Like, so we said, okay, we want an actual sound like those old groups like the Parliaments or the, or the Willie Hutches or the Curtis Mayfields or the Beatles. And they all had a sound, you know what I mean? So me as a young producer, that's what I focused on,
As
so
you got into
the
producer,
one of the coldest beats that you did, man, and probably one of my favorites. Top 10 beat, man. And I heard this track the other day, and I'm like, man, you two got to do an album. And this was Process of Elimination with MC Ren.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
God dang, man.
Yeah, man, shout out to Red, man. My brother, Red. Yeah. Hey. The Nigga in Black album, man, it's crazy, man. The Villain in Black album. It wasn't Nigga in Black, it was the Villain in Black album. But, man, Crazy, man.
And I gotta follow behind King with that, because there are 2 beats, Hutch, that you did I was absolutely in love with when I heard it. One of them was "Bitch Made Nigga Killer" off, the Villain Blackout. That whoa, and then
that was a cold
that in 1993, the Menace to Society soundtrack, Miss Kilo, all over
home. Yeah. Y'all was crazy. It was crazy about that is I was such a, I wanted to do, with records like what you're talking about, it's funny, and like I tell Cocaine all the time, I'll be like, man, I was so off my shit then, but on my shit, that I'm glad you guys, like, really follow my lead, you know what I mean? Because I really came in every day and experimented. I never had, like a lot of people, they want to, man, thank all praises due to Allah, thank God, you know what I'm saying? Because I was, I was a person that was like this. I was like, okay, I'm just going to try some shit, And, like, all over Hope, that was just me trying some shit.
That bass line,
on records like that is just me trying some shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a preconceived thing. It wasn't you know what I mean? I never had that in my head. I just say, okay, today I'm going to try something. You know what I mean? So, and it came back incredible, but I appreciate that. It's humbling, because I never, all I wanted to do is do something with the elements that I just explained to you about. I had a formulated thing, but I didn't have, when I show up to the studio and you interview Cocaine, he'll tell you, we created a bunch of records. The Who Am I record was done like that. His first album under Cocaine, the Funk Up on a Rhyme record, is done like that. I would just go in and fuse, because I was a young guy that was off my shit. You know what I mean? I would just be off of my shit, like, which was point on, I guess, according to you guys. But I'm glad. I don't, me as a musician, I'm a musician first, I play a few instruments. Mm-hmm. So me as a musician, I never go in being like the know-it-all guy. I just go in and be like, okay, I want to fuse some stuff. You know what I mean? Just as the crazy, creative person, harebrained, whatever, off the hook, I want to do it. So I want to do it, and it comes with magic, so.
Yeah, man. I mean, and you're also, but when you say this, Hutch, about you being a musician, the fact is people got to understand, like, you actually studied music. You know the theories in terms of your notation, your chord progression.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and in terms of your lineage, this was already genetically, in for you. Absolutely. In terms of how you were. It's like you were almost destined to do this. I got to shout out, your uncle, Willie, because he had a track called Color Her Sunshine that I absolutely loved. I was like, shout out to Rick Ross, especially when he used that for Rich Off Cocaine.
Yeah.
But take us through that 90s era in terms of when you're watching, because King and myself, we always just reminisce so fondly with that time in the West in the early 90s. Shout out to Compton's Most Wanted, DJ Quick.
Oh, yeah, man. Shout out to all that, yeah.
Yeah, what was it like during that time?
Jump did you all know all that?
Yeah, did y'all really know what y'all had in terms of, like, when was the epiphany to hit y'all, like, yo, like, not only do we got something, but, like, we are influencing the whole world, You got Battle Cat, DJ Pooh, Sir Jinx, all these guys coming up as well.
I mean, I think we had kind of been the stepchild for so long in hip hop that was like our moment. You know what I mean? Like, we had always, we hadn't made a mark. With if you look at from the early 80s all the way up to the late 80s, we hadn't really made a mark yet. There are records here and records there. We hadn't made that mark, like, far as industry is concerned. The incredible thing was, after you figure after when the 90s hit, we kind of, like, had our own sense of, like, position, I could say, because everyone was still making great records, here and there. But I think the West had a real great position, at the time, and I was real proud of that because because doing it doing it and watching the 80s, the late 80s, and then being a part of coming out in that 90s, in that whole 90s class of artists. Now when I look back at it, it makes me feel real proud. But when we were doing it, it's kind of like, we were just on a mission, not against, because, I think what people fail to realize with hip-hop then is that we were embraced by the East Coast as well as we were embraced by the South and the West Coast. So, I think that's a misconception that people have. I think more so the artists, because I've toured with everybody. In that era, I've toured with everybody from every coast, from every region. In nothing but respect. It wasn't like people didn't know our records when I got to New Jersey or New York or some shit. They knew our records, you know what I mean? If I got to Brooklyn, people didn't know if you said Above the Law. They knew it, you know what I mean? So, I think that's the most incredible thing to come from, like, NWA really striving hard to get on and then getting on, and then a whole industry coming along in the 90s of us just having like an arsenal of records coming out, and plaquing, and really selling a whole ton of records, and impacting hip-hop itself. I think people leave the West Coast out of that scenario and just be like, oh, yeah, you're West Coast, you're this, you're that. But if this doesn't happen, I don't really think you have the industry that you have today. If you don't have the Dre's, the Me, the Battle Cats, the Quicks, the Compton Most Wanted, DJ Slip, DJ Unknown, all these dudes that produce this incredible sounding music in that era, you don't have the industry that you have today. You don't have that. You don't have that parlay happen. And you kind of really don't without us doing it, because we were coming from a total hood perspective. I think you don't have artists come out that can talk about they borough or talk about they spot or, East Coast or the West Coast if we don't actually make that mark and make it be really actually something that's marketable and can profit for people. You know what I mean? Because the music changed, the theory of it changed. You got to realize when it went from the 80s to hip-hop, not hip-hop, but just like hip-hop in general, like the breakdancing, the lyrical stuff, I'm rapping against you, I'm a better rapper, to just total reality rap from everywhere. To where why do we care about what's going on in Staten Island with the Wu-Tang if you don't have the NWAs and Above the Laws? You don't really check for the Ghetto Boys and stuff. You don't really check for all the see what I just said. They laced everything up for other regions to talk about exactly where they're from. You know what I mean? You don't have the Nas's, because who cares what's happening in his projects in Queens? Who cares? All they would if it stayed with me rhyming against you. Who would care about the reality of what's going on in my projects if the NWAs don't come along? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And for what it did,
doesn't happen. The theory doesn't. Yeah. The theory doesn't happen. See, that's what people don't understand. Like it's not the people gravitate to things not because of like how you. It's great to be a lyrical whatever, but you're not rapping when hip hop changed into more reality based. You had to be a rapper, and you had to talk about. It had to have that type of substance. You know what I mean? So, like you brought up a record like All Over a Hoe, right? Look at the substance of All Over a Hoe.
Yeah.
It's about a chick catch her dude cheating and off him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the lyrics is hard. You get what I'm saying? You see how it changed. But if you look at 87, people wouldn't have been talking like that.
I mean, I still remember that opening lyric. And with here, Miss Kilo, when she dropped that "Once Upon a Time, I had a Mac Dad, just me and him, and an 8-tray caddy." Nigga, that was like,
right.
The hookers
let the
was
wheels
there, and the
spin,
niggas
let
was
the wheels spin.
Wheels spin. I was like,
yeah. Cocaine wrote that. That's cocaine.
Yeah.
All that stuff is cocaine. You being cocaine wrote that.
But that shit was fire. I mean, and because we got so much to get to, man. I mean,
hey, yo, T-Mac, check this though. I was doing a little. I was doing my Googles right quick, and I'm gonna tell you this.
Okay.
This is Above the Law deserves to be in the history books for a reason. Not only because of the timeless music and the style that they inspired, but to my knowledge, and we own about 1 billion hip hop albums. This is the only group that had Tupac and Eazy on the same album.
Right.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Black Mafia
Life. That's deep.
You know,
two artists that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And King, that's King, you know what, dog? Because, you know, this is why you're my musical brother from another. You know, when you mention Black Mafia Life, which is the perfect segue, because, you know, I was a little young nigga in the game, but that was like my first real introduction to y'all. When I saw that video from VSOP in 1993, because that was look out in Hampton Roads, Virginia, man, Chesapeake.
There you go.
South stands up. You know, that was like the first. I was like, we was bumping that all summer. That Black Mafia
shout out to my girl.
Was...
Shout out to my girl DC from VA. What's up, DC? She on that record with us. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that was like the record. I mean, and shout out to Rap City, of course, man, back in the day, because they kept y'all in rotation.
Man.
You know,
man. You can't be mad at that.
You know, but when we talk about it, though, Hutch,
like I was saying, man, y'all can check the record books. Look through all your CD credits. You ain't going to find Above the Law have that title right now.
Wow. Huh. Damn, that's a crazy trivia question, bro. That's crazy trivia for us. Yeah. That's crazy trivia. Like, it's things like that is real humbling. You brought that to my attention. I never thought that, those guys were my friends. So, I was able to make records with them, So that's all it was to me is my partners I hung out with, and I was able to make records with them, So.
Yeah, man. And I mean, of course, Hutch, like you said, when you're talking about the West Coast at that time, because on the East Coast, we're still not really understanding, because y'all brought the street culture from a level that we didn't understand. Shout out to the Pyrus, Bloods, Crips, Brims, everybody, man. Shout out to Cedar Block. Shout out, to Trag New.
It's kind of cinema on music for y'all. You know what I mean? Kind of like that, because we introduced the world to that culture out here. Like, people didn't actually know the culture. I mean, you could say colors, but like, okay, come on. You know what I mean? That, like the real culture, like what you talking about, we introduced you guys to the Freeway Ricks and, stuff like that back then. You know what I mean? So when people didn't even know about stuff like that, like, the king, a black kingpin like him. You know what I mean? Now you see, he was a part of the Contras, but we were talking about Rick on our first album. We was talking about Freeway Rick. So,
Yeah, I mean, we got to shout out Harry O, too. We got to shout out all the
Harry O, too, my man. Welcome home, too, Harry.
Taking it up to Oakland, we got to shout out to Rest in Peace, Felix Mitchell. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We got to shout out Alphabet Street. You know what I'm saying?
That's right, man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because those are, that's an era that was so much about, and we, that's what to us was like the Black Superman. There was guys that took that risk to change their own conditions when there wasn't nothing else that's all they had. You know what I mean? So, shout out to all them dudes from that era, man, that really went out there and took that risk, put that cape on and took that risk,
And Hutch, once again, you gave us a perfect segue. 1994, the Uncle Sam's Curse album.
T-Max, hold on, wait, 1 second, 1 second. We got to backtrack at 1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
Because, I got this submitted, this question submitted from the Collie. Big shout out to the Collie.com. They've been supporting us as well. We got to go back to 93 when Ruthless was going through that transitional period. And one thing I admire about Eric was he didn't lie down. He kept on fighting and pushing that brand, keeping Ruthless alive. You did some work for its own Dr. Dre 187 album, and one of the coldest ever was Any Last Word.
5150 in that. Yeah, 5150 in that record. We did 2 records in that transition. So we did the Christmas album, which is 5150, and then we did its own Dr. Dre Killer, which is that has Any Last Words on it. Yeah. Your question was?
Yeah, and one of the questions this dude submitted to me was this dude by the name of Fatal. Big shout out to him. He wanted to know about Eazy, working with him, on that transition period after leaving Dre, and did he look sick when recording that record?
No, I mean the thing is about all of that is, one thing I would tell you. I mean, I would say work yourself to death. I didn't see
a downside in his stride. You know what I mean? As far as working, working with him was one of the most incredible things that I could tell you that a person with his prestige would have. Like, he was a very rich man. He was in control of his own shit, but he was just as humble as the guy that lived next door to you, that didn't have shit really. You know what I mean? He highly respected a guy with a musical approach and a vision like myself. He didn't never pull any punches by saying that, hey, you're the guy with the talent. I'm just the artist that, you're supposed to actually position and make me look good. That's the humbling thing about Eazy E. Even though people might think he was something else, he wasn't. You know what I mean? He was a very humble dude, working with. He was about his shit, of course. He stood on, he had the Napoleon complex. He was a little dude, so he had but we both did because, and we never, that's why me and him kind of got along, really, really good. So it was incredible working with him just as him being the CEO of the company and then him being my friend, because what people don't know about me, when Dr. Dre left, I was his liaison. I was his music liaison at that time. Everything that he wanted to do came across my desk, So we worked together more than just those records, and I worked close with him. I never saw that coming. That was a blind side, to be honest with you guys. So with the guy that's asked the question, no, I didn't see any of that. Even in the last days, I didn't. I mean, he worked so fucking much, man. I don't think you would have known anyway.
Yeah, one thing about it, because we rehashed that story so much in terms of like the trials and tribulations with him and NWA. But one thing about it, shout out to Kelly Park, where Eazy rep, man. One thing about it is I don't think people really give enough credit for Eazy for what he contributed in terms of hip hop or what he brought, because he brought, NWA, he brought, you guys came into the fold on the Ruhless. I mean, J.J. Fad with Supersonic, of course, Lemon, Lemonhead.
Grammy-nominated, multi-platinum Grammy-nominated J.J. Fad as well. So give them their props, and that's because of Eazy E. He saw that record, and he got behind that record. See, I'm glad you touched on that, my brother. And this is
go ahead, please.
This is what I feel. I always have to stand on what Eric done, and to the listeners, that's Eazy E. Is this. Without him, there is no people that you see today. I don't think there's a Kendrick Lamar without him. So grow with that. I don't think that there's an Eminem. There's not a Snoop Dogg. There's not, because these things don't happen. If he doesn't if he doesn't position Ruthless Records with his street bread, if he don't position Ruthless Records with them actually pushing forward and making history, because it didn't have to happen. In the brilliance, there is no Bone Thugs and Harmony without him. The brilliance of all of these people, there's no Us, no Cocaine, there's no G-Funk. There's none of that stuff that you can without his single move. So when people think Eazy E is just a rapper who died from AIDS, well, I feel sorry for you, because he was the business mind behind all of us. He was a guy who told us. He was a guy who said, hey, we're black. He was a guy who said, hey, you guys, we're going to be the biggest record label on the universe. We're going to be, super groups. We're going to be, me and Ren laughed about that one time. And one time said, man, we're going to, y'all like, Blah, Blah is like the Rolling Stones and we like the Beatles. We're going to have a super group. We're going to have two super groups, at the label. We were just dudes just trying to get out the streets. You know what I mean? So think about his vision. Think about his vision, what he had, his mind. When he came to me with Bone Thugs and Harmony, that all these dudes going to be rapping and singing, what you think? When he played, I was like, oh, yeah, it's cool. I didn't know 11, 12 million records later, that's what it would be. But it was, hey, he saw that. You know what I mean? So when you get to talking about him just being another rapper who did this or who did that, then I feel sorry for you, because a lot of us don't exist without him. There is no Beats by Dre. There's no Dr. Dre. There's no Ice Cube with Fridays, and are we there yet? And because it doesn't happen without him saying, hey, I got some bread from this dope money. Let's do this. Doesn't happen, y'all.
Yeah.
You don't know.
And another
guy.
trivia.
I'm not saying that they don't. I'm not saying that they don't go on and do something else as somebody else or something. I'm just telling you, you follow them and you represent them because of that. You follow Death Row because of what we done at Ruthless Records. That's why you follow it. You want to look at Snoop because Snoop has talent, but you looking at him because he's under Dr. Dre's wing, which is what was started before that. I'm sorry, y'all. Everything has history to it. Okay, I know we want to dress that pig up in a wig, but it's still a pig. You know what I'm saying? So, you know.
But you know, Hutch, we also got to give our listeners, because this is what we do on Off the Cuff Radio, we also give our listeners a lot of trivia. Like King, you know, gave the facts about you all are the only two to ever have Tupac and Eazy on the same album. Eazy is also Eazy is also the first record executive to sign a Jewish rap group, Blood of Abraham.
There you go, Blood of Abraham. Yeah. And that's you know, and that's you know, the members of that are the Black Eyed Peas. See. So that don't happen.
There you go.
That's the Black Eyed Peas. You know. Yeah. Yep.
He was that ahead of
Will.i.am was in that group. Will.i.am was in that clique, the Ad-Band Clan. Like that's that clique. You know what I mean? So, and Will.i.am comes from that. He comes from that lineage. He comes from the Ruthless lineage. That's where he comes out of. So think about what I'm just telling you. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny to me that when I look at like all this new media and hip hop and history of hip hop, these people telling you the same, they regurgitating the same story that everybody knows in popular culture. That's not the history of it. That's the people that's pop. That's the pop people. That's the pop people talking about their shit. That's not like the actual guys who actually made it. You know what I mean? That's not, you don't see them make a thing that honors him. Of course, he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you know, and stuff like that. But you don't see them honor like what y'all just honor, and like saying like, okay, his business is this, is that. How this doesn't happen without this, that doesn't happen without that. You know, people don't honor that.
Yeah.
People do downplay that. They downplay that when it comes to Eazy E. It's sad and unfortunate, but hey, they do, y'all. You know.
You know, Hutch. Because and me and King, we always laugh about this because I started reading the Source magazine in 1994, so I literally have every Source magazine from 1994 to now. Like I told you, and I'm still going to, like I said, I got to dig through all that, but I still got some more stuff to send you. You know, them pictures I sent you on all of it.
Was dope though. Yeah. My mom have all that stuff, by the way. My mom's like a Smithsonian, so she has all of that stuff, like, you know, so.
Yeah, man. I mean, and to watch, you guys, really just come through. I mean, because of course, Black Mafia Life was just, such a groundbreaking. I mean, of course, Call It What You Want, VSOP. I mean, y'all just like, the record itself was dope. We're just so giddy like little kids here, but we got to get into the album that is like considered the most, that was controversial, and it's like still basically considered to be you all's magnum opus, and that was 1994's Uncle Sam's Curse. And that record is taking almost mythical proportions of just how raw that record was. Of course, the video Black Superman, let it off. I mean, tell us about the science with that album, the vision y'all had, and what made it so controversial for a lot of people, even to this day.
The science was me and KMG as writers. We wanted to, and we ran it by DJ Chaos, and then we sat with me, him, DJ Chaos, and Cocaine. We sat down and said we wanted to do a gangster political album. At the time, we didn't have a title to it, so we just started cutting songs. We just want to do it, and we told the label we want to do a gangster political album. It's like if NWA and Public Enemy did a record together, you get Uncle Sam's Curse, Above the Law. So it'd be the most gangster shit you heard, but the most political shit at the same time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we started cutting records. You know what I mean? And it just, I had just finished Funk Upon a Rhyme, which was the most funkiest record I produced my whole career for Cocaine. And I was like, I want to sonically fuse that into this, like soul, funk, slap, acid, everything, sunshine, bells, metal, jazz, everything into it, right? As a producer. Right. So that's what I did. That's why it comes from, like, I'll give you an idea of what I'm saying. That's why it comes from, if you say, like, it comes from Return of the Real Shit, which is like part of it, Roger coming, then it goes into Set Free, which is like doo-wop, like I'm scatting on the record, it goes from that to that. So it goes from a dark, funky record to jazz, then it goes into another record, like, you know what I mean? Like that. And that's how we came, sonically, I came up with the formula to it, The content, just me and KMG was just like, we just want to go from one extreme to another extreme. You know what I mean? Like, that's why, like, if you listen to a record like Black Superman, he's a dude hustling and going crazy off Sherm, tearing shit up, kill if he has some type of thing. And I'm like talking about, I'm in high school, I'm tired of my mama struggling, I got to get the fuck out of here and make this money, I don't give a fuck what your teachers say, So that's the type of record we wanted to do, to where it's not really like political, how people talk about like the politics of like the government. It's more like ghetto politics, but it's like, think about when I talk about races, I think about, I talk about like Adolf Hitler, and I talk about like, little kids getting molested and that kind of stuff. Those were the things we were writing about, you know what I mean? Which was very, very kind of sketchy and edgy, but then you got a record, then we go to like a California, which is like fun, sunshine, having fun, rolling, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Then you got records like, Rain Before Rainbow and, Concrete Jungle, and records like that. And One Time Too Many about police brutality, you know what I mean? So for us, when we recorded that record, we just wanted to really be really, really funky, but political. You know what I mean? And just really be gangster at the same time. And it came out to be one of the masterpieces. The funny thing about the album, we cut Black Superman last. The last record we cut, okay. I actually was on tour. We were off and on the road, and I was off for a few days, and I mixed it, and I brought it out on tour, and we played it, and then we got back home, me, DJ Chaos, Cocaine, and KMG, we invited Eazy to a studio and played the whole album, because he would always say he don't want to hear the album until it's finished, because he hates me giving him something like, I'll be stuck on y'all shit, So I brought him, yeah, he did, he would say that. I'll be stuck on one song, man. I can't get through all these fucking songs. You know what I mean? So just give me the shit. So when he comes in, I play him all the shit, right? And I say, yeah, I just finished mixing this right before I went on the road, and this is the last, put the finishing touches on it, and here's the record, and I play Black Superman. And we in there smoking, blowing, doing our thing, smoking, chilling, listening to the music. And when the screens go off and everything, Eazy E was like, that's the single. And we like, what, man, that's some crazy shit. We can't be talking about that as a single. Mind you, we had just came off a big record like VSOP, so we like, man, we want to do like California. We kind of want to stay like, we don't want to scare the shit out of you. He said, listen, the record you just paid for me, that one record explains the whole record.
Right.
It is just that, it's just that impactful. You know what I mean? So what he did, he put the record out. He bootlegged the record himself. He white labeled it and put it out to all the DJs like it was a leak. And that's the story of Black Superman and how Uncle Sam's Curse became just a mysterious album. And of course, the album cover helps a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The album cover is like one of the most incredible pieces of art. Yeah, it helps a bit. It scared, that album cover scared the shit out of people.
Tell us about the artwork behind that, in terms of who did that.
Who did that artwork?
The artist's name is I'm gonna tell you the artist's name. It's on the top of my head. Now y'all getting me, man. I'm in my 50s, y'all. I can't think of the artist, but the cool thing, okay, here's two things that I will tell you about that artist, and I can remember his name, and I'll shoot it to you so I can drop it, on people so they know. But the incredible thing about him is he came in and he would sketch talking to us. So
okay.
when we did the Black Superman cover with the dude spray paint, he would see it every time. Hey man, make a dude and he's sitting against the wall and somebody hide and got to look out, man, and all the stuff you see is us talking in a conversation. He sketch it out like while we talking. Shit is some fucking crazy shit, right? You know. So then we started working on Uncle Sam's Curse cover. And that was just out of me, Cam G, and DJ Chaos head. Like, oh, yeah, we want the ghetto, we want this, and we want the ghetto to be like a penitentiary and the suburbs to be outside of the fence. And then we want Uncle Sam coming over the clouds like, you know, like the clouds. A storm,
like a storm, like a thunderstorm, yeah.
Like a storm, like a thunderstorm, but it's only over us. It's not over, think about it, it's nice on the outside of it, sunshine. It's just that cloud over us. Now, what people don't know, I don't know if your listeners know this, is that Uncle Sam's Curse is a way that we explain the word ghetto. Because our album was going to be called The Ghetto. Same cover, everything, but it's going to be called The Ghetto. You know? But we said, oh, man, we don't really do like, we always did stuff like Black Mafia Life, Living Like Hustlers. We don't really do like a one-word thing, like, okay, like, some ghetto shit. Like, it's like, oh, man, that's kind of like, what explains the ghetto, like, for us in a political sense? Well, Uncle Sam is the government, and what's his curse? The ghetto. So we're cursed by the government, basically, is what we were saying. The ghetto was cursed by that. So that's how we came up with it. Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of times people, when you break...
What did you guys receive from that album? Because I remember hearing some...
We were racist. I've read some of the blogs of us. We were racist. We were this. We were that. Like, compared to what guys talk about now for us popping pills and jumping in an empty pool, like, you know what I mean? We were like kind of outcast for Uncle Sam's Curse, because what we were talking about was real politics of how shit is really fucked up, but we was entertaining at the same time. And I think when you impact people, you always piss people off, you know.
Right.
And when it's good, you piss people off. So that, hey, we loved it. We were like, okay, yeah, we did it because that's the way we felt, where our people were getting pressed. You know what I'm saying, at the time. And as we see now in the modern day, they're still getting pressed like that. But yeah, we was labeled racist and all kinds of stuff when that record came out, you know. Yeah, how dare you say that?
Yeah, but you know, Hutch, it's interesting because, you know, one thing about it is when we look at the late 80s and 90s, early hip-hop, you know, King and myself, we talk about this. We look at, it was so politically charged, of course, with Public Enemy, you know, with, you know, all of these, you know, of course, with X-Clan, you know, I mean, even Ice-T, you know, I mean, of course, with the Cop Killer, you know, off the Body Count album. So, I mean, we're seeing all of this from a perspective of, you know, you all just really kind of took it back to that social commentary. I mean, this is 3 years after the Rodney King beating. You know, of course, you know, you know, of course, we're taking it back to what, like maybe 91, 92. Rest in peace with Tasha Harlow. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Absolutely.
You know,
yes, it was high racism. Like, it was high racism. You're right. Like it was a very racial, high racial. You know, like it was a boiling point at that time. You know, people look at now. I think people look at now like that's something new, but that's always been there. People are like, oh yeah, what Trump did is racism. I say, when did it ever go anywhere? Like, this is just the same thing that was happening between, like you said, 91 to 96. Like, this is the same shit. You know,
right?
What's the difference? You know what I'm saying?
Hip hop was such a soundtrack for the people at that time too, because you had,
you feel me? That is
OJ
King.
trial.
That's like Rodney King. That's Rodney King though. Think about it. When you bring up that's Rodney King. You know what I mean? Like, come on. The George Floyd thing is a Rodney King scenario. Like, everyone saw that on TV. Watched him damn near beat the motherfucker half to his death. Rest in peace, Rodney King. But damn, you know what I mean? Like, geez. You know what I mean? Like, people act like these things are something new. So when people tell me that all the time, and I was in the studio with Dre, and it was like, yeah, man, so it's crazy. You know, you know, we was talking about that shit back then, like with fucking police and then Uncle Sam's Curse and all that. You know, like that. Now that's two different time frames. Think about it. So that's 88, and that's 94. We talking about the same shit. You know what I mean? So, and now look at it now. You know, so. So you have to realize, we didn't get that. Uncle Sam's Purse was one of the greatest records that I was involved with producing. But it didn't get the shine that it did because Black Superman was so huge that it didn't go pop radio because when Eazy E and Jerry Heller, rest in peace, tried to take it to try to work it pop radio, they said they couldn't play it because it was called Black Superman. So you see what type of climate we were in. So
yeah.
It had done everything it could do in urban radio. When they tried to work it pop, they said, "No, we'll never get to play this record because of the name of the record." And
but it's crazy
with the group being above the law. So
But it's crazy though, Hutch, because when we look at it from that level of because we were still like, what was the market? And you talk about the radio play and everything. What was marketing albums like during that 90s era? Because when we were young, we got all of our information, this is before the internet as we knew it. So we're, Source Magazine, Word Up, Right On, Spice,
there you go.
Yo on TV Rap, the Video Music Box, between publications and actual video music shows, this is how we're actually seeing and getting exposed to a lot of artists from all over. Like I said, I live in Virginia, southeast part of the United States, where we knew about y'all. Of course, Compton's Righteous, when he dropped Winter A's Attack, Sinister, I Won't Forget You Too. We knew about Almighty RSO. We knew about Cam, because you did work on Cam's Made America album. But we knew about Peace Treaty when that dropped. South Central Cartel. Yeah. I mean, this is how we knew about y'all.
Havoc and Pride.
What was the marketing like for y'all? Well, just in general, in terms of how albums were promoted and pushed, what was the label meeting like in terms of how we're going to move it? Go ahead.
Well, the good thing about it was that's the era of street teams. So we kind of were able to target, high school and college kids. I mean, that was the way we did it. We would we would be out there doing stuff for the high schools, passing out mixers, doing little in-stores right by the high schools in the neighborhoods, or we would just be at the colleges doing the student union stuff, that kind of thing. So colleges and high schools held us down. We didn't really need radio because we would do homecoming jams and all kind of stuff like that. Whatever. The Freaknik helped us a lot. That helped marketing because all the colleges came together and you could do a lot of networking there. But yeah, I would say more so the street teams. How they were always in front of everything. They would be outside the clubs hitting people off. They would be in front of the high schools hitting people off. That was the very important thing was the street team. And I think what's cool that a lot of times, and you guys probably know because you guys were younger, is that y'all had a lot of like where y'all schools would politic new music. Y'all would be the this the hot one, this the next shit.
Yeah.
Look at this. You know what I mean? The kids kind of done that for us. They kind of self-marketed us. Once we put it in position, they kind of ran with it everywhere. That's from everywhere. If y'all seen it, like you said, if you seen something in the source in VA, you go get it and you just spread it around, and it go from neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood. Because it really wasn't anything big in radio but mix shows, remember? So if we didn't get the things in mix shows, because we would be hard on the DJs, to get them the records. We would be hard on, they would be A1. We wouldn't, if you went over the top, you kind of lost your win. You know what I mean? And that's the funny thing about that era of hip hop. If you went straight radio, you wouldn't get it. But if you went and done everything I said, work those high schools, work college radio, do college radio interviews, work all the mom and pop record stores, do in stores, break bread with the kids. Then the kids wanted you on the radio, but then you already were large enough to where you sold so many records, it didn't even matter if you getting on the radio. You know what I mean? And that was the incredible part about that era. I'm so happy for the fan base then. The fan base was so, hey, listen, the 90s fans, hey, man, if you was imitating somebody, you was a biter. If you sound like them, get lost. If you was a fake motherfucker and they found out you was fake, they threw you out the back window with the car rolling. You know what I mean? They have so much love and compassion for the real shit. You know what I mean? You couldn't just pass off some shit. You had to really labor and make a dope album that they felt. You know what I mean? That they didn't even know was coming. That they didn't even know was coming. See, now you can pre-warn people. You can pre-hype them, all that. Y'all didn't know it was coming until you, like you said, oh, Brother Law got a record coming out in October. Shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, and you didn't know what was going to be on the shit. You know what I mean? So,
as the kids say, our era was better than yours.
Oh, yeah.
Your iPod, nigga.
Let me tell you something. I have children, and you know, I have older, and they like, look, what y'all was doing in the 90s is, I love what's going on now, but what y'all was doing in the 90s was way better than. When they go back and research the era, they like, whoa, like I see why these dudes is propped up right now. You know, yeah. You see how many? Look at how many things are laid out from that era. Look at how many things. Look at how many throwback loops you got on people's records now. From Chris Brown to Drake to look at all these people that you talking about do throwback loops of what we did, of what the Dog Pound did and what these people did and what, you know what I'm saying? You got Nipsey Hussle rapping on the mixtape The Black Superman. Rest in peace, Nip. You know what I mean? So think about that record was, I mean, he had to be a baby then. You know what I mean? He doesn't know about that. You know what I'm saying?
Look, we had Drake
go back and research that.
Forte. We had Drake biting rapping Forte. I'm like, Drake.
The people had to go research that. They had to go. Them dudes was babies when this record came out. They had to go back and research that. You know.
Hey, you know what? It peaked the game, y'all. Now, I was reading this other question here, and first of all, the guy wanted. He said, first of all, tell Hutch, Uncle Sam Kurt is an effing classic.
Oh, thank you. I'll take it.
And he wants to know why he thinks. Because this is an interesting segue when we talking about biters. Don't Bite the Funk is such an underrated diss record. When y'all two were doing it, y'all had y'all back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Well, that really was okay. That was, you know, the funny thing about that beef is, and I don't know if y'all had Cocaine on this beef. The beef is really between Cocaine and Snoop, actually. You know, me, I'm just kind of like a narrator of everything. Yeah, it was when they had fell out. You know, because they were really close. Okay. We were all at Ruthless. They were really close, and then when we partied, it kind of like got strange. You know what I mean? So that's where that record actually comes from, because they did a record, and it had to do with like Death Row in general, and it just was. Corrupt had said something about me and Cocaine in a line of the remix to Gin and Juice. I mean, Blood to Tangeray, actually, right? So that was our reply to that. So I just factually broke down stuff in the record that, you know, it was a diss record, but it was more like me just telling you the facts of what's going on. I more was like the news reporter and shit, telling you like, okay, my bro don't really own that label, this and that. I hope y'all all right. I hope your paperwork's straight. It was like me telling them how it's all going to unfold and see how it unfolded. The same way I told them, don't bite the funk. You know. So it is another thing that we were trying to say, like, okay, how you did whatever you was doing with the Chronic or whatever you were doing is because of what we influenced you. You know, so don't bite the funk that feeds you. Don't do that. Don't disrespect us. And we gave you something, basically. You know, we laced you up, bro. We laced your chucks up. Don't do that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like people be like a diss record. It's more like a check record. You know what I mean? Like we're checking a motherfucker. Like, look, we were one, homie. Like, don't bite. We looked out for you. Don't do that. You know, because the blessing comes from when Dr. Dre come to my studio and asked me, should he sign Snoop? And I say, yeah, I signed up on him. Yeah, I think he's incredible, man. I was working with him a bit. I think he's the next man up. He said, all right, I'm going to follow your lead, Hutch, and smashed out my studio in his nice 500. You know, these are facts. I'm not telling you nothing that's a lie, bro. You know what I mean? I'm just being real. Right. So when we start hearing them spitting stuff about us, like, we did shit to y'all. Don't bite the funk that feeds you, homie. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing about it. It wasn't, Don't Bite the Funk is not really about like them biting it. It's just us saying, like the phrase goes, don't do that. Don't disrespect somebody that feed you. Don't try to do that. You know what I mean? Like that. We come from a real era of this shit. We're not gonna speak on nothing unless it has some real bearing behind it, fam. You know what I mean? We're not from the clout chasing era. We from the get money era. Get your cake up era. Get your balls
with the
on
get
era.
down.
We from that era.
Look, y'all from the get money,
real.
get cake with the get down.
Well, you get your ass beat at the New Music Seminar for running your mouth crooked. We from that era. We not from that other shit. Okay? We them type of people. Don't do that to people like us. You know? Because we real dudes. If you know us, we real dudes. Listen, if we love you, we love you. You want to go to war? Hey, that's where it goes. We know how to pick up a pistol and do it. You know what I mean? That's just a fact. That's what real people do. Real men do that. People talk. Listen, man, y'all got a great form. People talk real gangster shit sometimes. You know what I mean? They talking. You know what I mean? You on the phone with a motherfucker who slept, ate, did everything on a gangster level. You know what I'm saying? And made hit records. You know what I'm saying? And I got a Fed number on my back. You know what I'm saying? Now I sold dope. I did that. I shot at niggas. All that kind of shit. But but I'm not a person from that kind of shit to where when you talk about like somebody doing something, there's a reason why we answer to what they did to us. You know, to ask your people's question, because we from a real lineage. We're not from that like, oh, yeah, they left Ruthless and we mad at them. Oh, yeah, they beat up Ice Cube because they was mad because he left NWA. No, his mouth was crooked talking about us, and he got his ass whooped.
Right.
That's the end of that. I got love for O'Shea. I love Ice Cube. He's one of the greatest rappers this planet have ever seen. But don't get your mouth crooked. I'm that dude. If you want it, hey, you can get it. I'm no tough guy. I'm not the toughest guy around, but I stand on my man shit. You know what I'm saying? I always stand on my man shit. My daddy told me one thing. Motherfucker, get out of the pocket with you. Hey, you go up and pat his pockets and shake him upside down and do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? You set up as a man, and that ain't gangster shit. That's man shit. You know? So that's the thing about when we spoke on that record, it wasn't to shade them, or as they say nowadays, or
weird language.
Or we mad at them. It's valid. It's a valid reason why that happened. We never said anything about them, fam. What is these other dudes running their mouth for? We never said anything about them.
That's
why Blown Bite the Funk people listen to it is like, that's a shut down diss record. Like, it's a shut down diss record. But at the end of the day, me and Coca didn't even go in like that. We went in and say, we just going to speak some facts right quick. Okay, we're going to turn the tape on and just speak facts.
Right.
It ain't like Vaseline where you over, this and that, and this, you know what I'm saying, where it's over the top. We just spoke facts,
Yeah, and Hutch, the situation, because we got to call you Unc because you're an OG that we respect so much. The thing about it is, the thing is that people, when we look at what happened, because that whole Death Row, Ruthless, is a whole nother story in itself that has been told so many times, and there's still stories that we don't know about. But the situation in terms of how it all went down, in terms of just the business aspects, we all know about that. The movie talked about that. If you really know your journalism history, reading, then you know about that as well. There was a time where there was really a lot of real tensions between those camps where it was just really, and inevitably, wherever there is real tension, wherever there is real problems, or real or perceived, is going to be stuff said. And then there is sometimes where it goes from the school of maybe you know something, maybe it's true, but the reality is, does it need to be said? And if it's not necessarily true, or there's more to the story, maybe all facts need to be stated from all sides before a story is told that can be construed as disrespect.
And I don't think. Go ahead. And I don't think that. I don't think that any of it was out of.
Malice?
I think that's a great word to use. Out of character of the moment, you know what I mean? Like when people kind of tend to say, okay, well, I don't fuck with Eric because of this. Or I don't fuck with Dre because of this. Or I don't fuck with, when we start going at that, what happens is that we tend to be only in music. So it comes out in the music. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
It doesn't mean that like they want some bodily harm done to you. They just feel a certain way because we were so close. It's just when we start falling out, it was oh well, fuck Ice Cube, he just left us hanging. Oh well, fuck that, Dre just boned out. Oh man, I'm gonna stick with Eric. All them niggas ain't fucking with me because they stayed over there with Eric because we were so close. You know what I mean? It's not, and I don't think it was, like I said, I think it was appropriate for the moment. That's why we're kind of all on the same accord because we are like brothers. You know what I mean? So, so we look at it like, man, I was mad at you what you did. Well, yeah, I was mad at what you did, man. But we family. I was mad at, you know what I'm saying? I was mad at because we built something together that nobody can say that, hey, it wasn't us who done it. You know what I mean? So, I think those two camps out because everyone was together at one time. Suge worked for Ruthless at one time. Then they started Death Row. That kind of thing. So it wasn't like where he just was some guy from the left field that didn't have anything to do, just came, popped up somewhere. We caught on tour and he jumped on the back of our bus and started spreading the cancer amongst us. No, it just was, that's how it was, and shout to Suge, you know what I mean? Because Suge was kind of the light for a lot of us that people don't give him credit for. He put the light on like, hey, something wrong with what Jerry doing. Something, you know what I mean? Like I don't sing right.
Hey,
you know what I mean? He put the light on the shit,
Hey, to build off of that, man, I mean, I had asked this question personally, and somebody else shoot this question to me as well. That was it was kind of like a weird transition when I saw the Above the Law name on the back of the Death Row Chronic, what was this, Gangsta Radio soundtrack. I was like, where did this come from? Like, I thought y'all still had odds, because, we was younger back then. We didn't know the business epithets behind that, but
we've never had odds with anybody. See, that's the thing about it. Above the Law, we've never had odds with anybody. You don't really want to be at odds with us. It's not healthy, really, for you, to be honest. You know what I mean? Because for us, what we done at Ruthless Records was we honored everything that we set forth, that we obligated ourselves to. You know what I mean? So there was no backlash there. When they moved on and did what they did, Dre had an issue with Eric, not with Above the Law. He had no issues with Above the Law.
Right.
Whatsoever, not at all, period. Snoop comes from us. You know what I mean? He had no issues with Above the Law, not whatsoever. Suge and me had been friends through the whole time, even though I was dealing with Eric. Me and him were still friends. You know what I'm saying? So there was no, when you look at that, you could say Eric and Dre had issues because of their thing, but we just kind of stayed out of it. We just kind of stayed, okay, we doing Ruthless and they doing Death Row, and we just kind of kept doing what we were doing. Shove came to push. If any of those other little underlings got out of pocket, we have to do something to them. But those people who we talking about that was on the front line with us building everything, we never really had no issues with those people. You know what I mean? That was the ideals of like, oh, Ruthless don't like Dre. Ruthless don't like Death Row. Death Row don't like Ruthless. We never were at odds. Like the infrastructure of all of that shit, nah. We kind of all were really diplomatic. Cocaine, Above the Law, we kind of stayed diplomatic through the whole thing. So when it came to me going over and becoming vice president at Death Row, which is the reason why all of that stuff that you're talking about happened, was because of me and Suge's friendship.
Right. What do people really, really have to understand in terms of the business aspect of how the record industry works? Because so many times we see artists coming in that really don't understand, in terms of the power of maintaining relationships. And if there's an issue, because you all, where y'all from? Cocaine, like I said, Pomona, Florida, which is also known as Putting It Down. Sugar-free, cocaine. Y'all have, y'all got that rep. But so many artists now really don't understand. Look, from pimping to putting holes in heads if necessary. I mean, what do heads really have to understand in terms of the business about how the game works, from associations to addressing problems if there are any, and just how to maintain a. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think the best thing that we learned in it early is to be professional. You know what I mean? To not really, being from the streets, like I just told you about. You stand on your man shit. You stand on your manhood with 10 toes down. And stand up tall like the sun. But I think the best thing that you ever can do in it is to stay professional. Never involve yourself, like I just explained to you. Don't involve yourself in, he's got a problem with these people, so them people, I got a problem with them too. Why? It's not like street shit. It's just, hey, it's business. Like, okay, what does your paperwork look like versus his paperwork? You need to be worried about that. Now, if your paperwork looked like him and while he ran out the back door, and because his paperwork and yours ain't straight, then you need to address that on your own terms. You know what I mean? And that's one. You can't really look at it like games and clicking up and all that. You have to look at it like a professional person. That's why us as a brother-in-law, Cocaine, we was always able to move on to new and greater things. You know what I mean? And never involve ourselves in the like, I'm mad at him because of what he did to him, and I'm mad at him because of what he did to him, and because we're so professional. You know what I mean? Like we understood the drama that went on between Eazy E and Dr. Dre, along with by the hand of Suge. We understood that, but that was their business. We stayed because we were friends. To give you a perfect example of that, we stayed at Ruthless because we were obligated to and had to honor our contract. Our friends were also at Death Row, developing Death Row. The DOC, Michelle A, Dr. Dre, and Suge, those were our friends. You know what I mean? But we were obligated, and Eazy was our friend as well, but we were signed to Eazy. So what trumped that? The business. Being professional trumped that. You get it? If we'd have based it on friendship, we'd have never made another record. You wouldn't have heard Uncle Sam's Curse. You wouldn't have heard those records because Ruthless Records, by the business, legally would have blocked everything we done. Just despite when it come down to the business. He didn't have to be our homeboy at that time. But by business, we had to honor that. Another thing, when I first heard the demo that they were releasing on the Chronic, and a lot of it sounded like Living Like Hustlers, Eazy E pulled me to the side and said, hey, look, man, I know some stuff on there. There's some G-Funk sounding stuff on there. But, hey, I'm making 25% of this album, and I got to sign off on it. And he signed off on it. The business. He was my friend, y'all. And guess what I had to do? I had to suck it up.
Right.
Because of the business. You know what I mean? I couldn't be like, oh, fuck you, I'm a blast when you in the parking lot, homie. You know what I'm saying? No, I couldn't do that. I had to be like, okay, well, hey. I come back to my crew like, hey, yeah, man, they going to drop it. Then the next call I made, me and Suge sat down and said, hey, man, no disrespect, homie, but, it's a lot of stuff symbolizing what I do. He said, all right, I'm going to talk to Dre, man. I don't, I got love to y'all, man. I ain't, what I'm saying, I rock with y'all. And that was it. Those are things that people don't know because we had a friendship. You know what I mean? And we were professional. You know what I mean? It wasn't about I'm going to fuck nobody up. It was like, man, that's kind of messed up, man. You know what I'm saying? How that is that. But, hey, it's business, And that's how you navigate through these things. You can't be caught up in my biggest problem with how things are now. People bring the streets into the business and they become multi-millionaires and they still in the streets like they in the projects that they from. Instead of saying, okay, I'm a millionaire, let me change the projects that I'm from. Let me help some brothers. Let me build a company and employ brothers. Let me do this because I made it. I made it. I sacrificed myself like a Jesus. Now I need to bless people. They don't do that. They don't bless. They don't come back and bless their people. They involve. Oh fuck, Lil Get Down. Oh fuck, Lil Neck Bone Up. Fuck him. And they got hit records. Like what are you doing that for? You're a millionaire.
But
you got $100,000 watch on. What are you tripping off of, homie? Right. You need to be blessing your homies.
But when we think about it, and we talk, King and myself, we talk about this all the time about the cloud chasing era because especially when social media really became a force in it, it became a default marketing tool because one thing about it is, one thing about it is when we look at it now as opposed to then, like you said, the dynamics were different in terms of how there was a business because a lot of times you were dealing with a lot of guys who were real street guys, so you knew if you got into it with somebody, it was going to be some real shit behind it.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times,
you're right.
A lot of times these artists basically get out there talking shit for fun, thinking that this is the way to get clicks. I'm like, no.
And what I can say about a lot of street guys, not to interrupt you, but go ahead and finish your thought because I'm going to say something after you finish. One thing I can say about a lot of street guys back then, they were very, very driven for as the business is concerned.
Right.
They wasn't much caught up in the trying to do something. They was like, okay, if it's for the money, I'm cool. If it's not, hands off. I don't give a fuck. They wasn't involved in like the ideal of just doing something to somebody. It was something got done to something. It was over some money, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It was over something, fam. Some got moved. When first it got moved, it was over some bread, homie. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't just over the idea, he said, I got a big foot. My left foot big. I'm going to go kill him. It wasn't about that. It was about some money. You know what I mean? If you was involved with a killer and the shit wasn't right, that's most likely why you in the fix with the motherfucker. You know what I mean? So that's, I don't understand, like, they mad at somebody because of something they said on the internet. Like, huh? It don't have to do with no money.
But one thing about it is, especially with the way marketing, because one thing about it is, the era we came from was predicated on the music and then your street reputation, because that was how people really knew, that you were really with it. You know what I'm saying? What it is now is, in terms of how it has come, you get a lot of artists coming in the game, and a lot of which of the new school does have real street credibility. But a lot of these artists, but a lot of the marketing now is based upon the image that they can project. I mean, I know this is our go-to. This is our default go-to. We look at what happened with Tekashi. Tekashi, tried to play himself up as to be a real street dude, but he wasn't. He got himself involved with real street guys, and then when the whole case comes down, look what happens. No shade to my man, Casanova 2-time, but when Casanova's a real street dude. But Casanova's in some shit right now because of an investigation with his crew, and he got caught up in it. So it's a lot that goes on with it.
Yeah, and think about this. Okay, just think about what you just said. You just named two people that were basically looked at as like incredible artists that are still trying to straddle a fence. Now, when we came up, when we were coming up in our era, you either was an artist or you was a gangster. You never were both. Right. Even if you was a gangster that was an artist, you never were both. Right. You know what I'm saying? Simultaneously. You never were both. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing about it. And I was talking to another one of my colleagues about this, and I said, look, man, the funny thing about it, man, when I came into the game, like I said, me and my homies, we was moving a lot of work back in the 80s. You know what I mean? We came to the game, we kind of did it because we didn't want to sell work no more. You know what I mean? So for us, we were trying to change our conditions. When we finally got that opportunity to do that, we wanted to be the best artists that we could be. We wanted to be professional. We wanted to be, we wanted to be known as being a dope ass rap group. We didn't want you to be like, oh, that's them drug dealer niggas from Pomona with a hit record. But the only reason why people checking for them because they stole a lot of drugs out there. No, we wanted to be like, damn, that record is incredible. You know what I mean? And I think these guys don't move like that because that's how they get caught up when they're just like, oh, rapping is just a hobby, but I'm real this gangster nigga from Brooklyn though. Huh? The fuck? Don't you want to be the hit rapper and tuck all that shit in the back, nigga? That's like getting you to that's jail. That sounds like jail and all kind of shit that motherfuckers. I'm just saying, it sounds like jail, homie. It sounds like prison. I've been there. It's not cool. It's not something that I'd rather be fucking some bitches on a private jet and rocking a stadium than being in jail. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I don't understand why the lines get blurred with people. Like, okay, you got a hit record, Tekashi. Why you involved with the 6 Trades for? Why you, and whatever it is, I don't know what they're, why you involved with them? Like, you got a hit record. Like, you should be jumping on private planes, fucking the shit out of any bitch you want to fuck. Get caking up. What the fuck you involved with that? I'm not saying nothing wrong with niggas and gotta be in the streets with their cape on doing their Black Superman thing. I ain't saying nothing about that. I'm saying, why are you involved with it when you got Sony on speed dial? You know what I mean? Why are you involved with it? Because there's a whole bunch of things when you become popular, you can keep clout from. Not possibly being indicted. That's not something you want clout from, pimpin'. It ain't. That ain't something you want. I've been indicted. That ain't something you want clout from. Okay? There's not nothing you want clout from. Okay?
Yeah,
that ain't nothing you want to be hot known on social media about, that you being indicted. That ain't hot, nigga. That sounds like you finna go to prison and you finna be sitting in that cell about to get fucking your little ass, nigga. That's what it sounds like. Okay? You little boy.
But you know,
we're gonna take the rainbow hairstyle, and we're gonna have some fun with the rainbow, boy. You know?
But you know what? But that's always been a thing about it, because, you know, there's always been an allure from that level of lifestyle with it, because a lot of people really don't understand. You all lived it, so you all really understand, you know, the spoils and the riches, but the consequences and, you know, the dangers, you know. So y'all seen it from both sides in terms of the rich and the falls, you know, and a lot of times there's a romanticism. And usually a lot of times people who romanticize it at that level especially, you know, which a lot of times this mentality has to stop in the hood, where they look at prison as a rite of passage, like you're a real man if you get locked up. I'm like, listen.
Because there's a lot of suckers in prison, so don't do that to yourself, because there's a lot of suckers in prison, so don't do that. We definitely can't romanticize that, but go ahead.
Yeah, but it's like,
check this out. I was reading this up right quick. Now, this is some other history that we want to put people on, too. And this person would kill me if I ain't asked this question, because this dude's a diehard ICP stan.
Okay, I like it.
He's a straight juggalo, man. You want to know how that connection with Psychopathic Records happened, and the only solution album.
Oh, well, the only solution. Okay, I done a record. I done a record, an independent record on my own label called what's that record? Only God Can Judge Me, right? And I was looking for some things to do promo with, and Violent J, super shout out to Violent J, and he wanted me to come. He wanted us to come on the Gathering one year, and we weren't able to. So I said, well, look, man, I'll do some work with you. So I started doing some work with him, and we started becoming really friends, you know, at the time. And then when they had the American Psycho tour, he said, at the time I was putting out this album, he said, you want to come out and promote your album? You know, you can come out on the American Psycho tour with me. Which was one of them. It was one they do for Halloween. American Psycho Halloween. One of them tours. I can't remember. It's been a minute. But it's when we do like 20-something shows in 30 days or something like that. And the last show was Halloween, right? So I went out with them on that tour to promote my new record, Only God Can Judge Me, my solo record. And then we just started becoming friends. We created the Psychopath Assassin album, The Only Solution, on the tour. You know, it's the idea to take a lot of their records and then do it was like a mixtape. And then me and Violent J came up with like the story. We're going to tell one story. Each song is going to make one big story, which is the Psychopathic Assassin story, which it came with a comic book and all that. That was from the mind of Code 187 and Violent J, though. You know what I mean? And it's just a fun thing that we thought we could give to the Juggalos. And, you know, Juggalos held me down for, you know, a couple of years I toured with them, man. It was an incredible ride for me, you know. So shout out to Psychopathic Records, you know what I'm saying, as well, man. You know, ICP, all the guys over there, man, that held me down, you know.
Man, shout out to Thank Hot Posse.
I actually like that record, man, because that record had a concept, man, of you being like a hit man.
Yeah.
I don't understand why a lot of people wasn't really feeling it, but I like the concept and the execution of it.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing about it is that what me and him always try to do, and me and him talk about all the time when we talk, we're like, yeah, man, we're not concentrating on hits. We concentrating on creating history, man. And maybe one day that record is like people are digging out, when the world is blown up and be like, oh, what the fuck was this? This is incredible. And not knowing that, it wasn't like one of those critically acclaimed things, but it's hella creative, and no one has done it since, So we thought it was an incredible thing. Me and Von and Jay thought it was incredible. So,
Yeah, man. I mean, and the thing is, people really have to understand the breadth of your work in terms of the diversity with the acts you worked with, because it showed that, in terms of what hip-hop is at its core, hip-hop is first is representation from the street, but it's also about collaborations and camaraderie. It's all about creativity between individuals. So we've covered 2 albums so far. We've covered Black Mafia Life, and we've covered Sam's Curse. So now we got to get into
you covered Living Like Hustlers too. So.
Living Like Hustlers, yeah. So we've covered that.
Mm-hmm.
So we've covered all those. So now we got to get into the next album, 1996. Time Will Reveal. I remember the commercial. Was that Tony Eveready in that commercial?
Mm-hmm.
Was that Tony Eveready in that commercial with y'all?
Huh? Say it again.
Was that Tony Eveready in that commercial with y'all for the Time Will Reveal promo commercial? Was that him?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure, man. You got me on that.
Yeah, because the dude, it looked like him. For those who know, they know who Tony Eveready is.
Right.
But
okay.
I know one thing, though. Well, when I heard that, whatever, of course, the dude is in the interrogation room and they're asking about it. But one thing is, but one thing about it is, all I heard was this piano, dun 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 dun, which will become the Evil That Men Do. Which between that and 100 Spokes are my favorite songs off of that album. 100 Spokes is just, oh man, you want to talk about a quintessential LA cruise track? Oh my God.
There you go. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Take us through what it was like.
When I know my 100 Spokes is no joke. Mm-hmm.
Take us through what was it like for Time Will Reveal. What was that like? Because you all went to Tommy Boy at that time.
Yeah, Time Will Reveal was, I would say, it was hard because without, when you were accustomed to making records, at Ruthless Records and with Eazy E being CEO, and now you're in boardrooms with a big corporation like Tommy Boy, and you trying to make a gangster record, it's a lot of it's like pulling every tooth out of your head. So that was the first hurdle. Making the record was incredible, man. I mean, one thing we didn't fall off, far as our momentum as artists when Eazy E died, which was a very devastating moment for us. You know what I mean? It was kind of hard to get back creatively, but by the grace of God, we ended up getting a major deal with Tommy Boy. Shout out to Tom Silverman. You know what I mean? Ian Steedman, who bought me there, made an incredible record. You know what I mean? So when we went in and started working on Time Reveal, we wanted to be a combination of what we were doing with, like you said, the other 2 albums with
Black Mafia Life
and then Uncle Sam's Curse, right?
Right.
So that's how we tried. So we tried to fuse it, but we wanted to be more kind of cinema on records. You know what I'm saying? Like how we usually try to do it to make you see the records. So you get records like 100 Spokes, and then you get you get all this you get all this funky crazy stuff. Like Killers in the Park and records like that. You know what I mean? And that was it. Didn't get Evil That Men Do, which is incredible to us. You know what I'm saying? We wanted that to be our first single, but Tommy Boy thought it would scare the shit out of everybody. It wasn't really aggressive like that. So Indonesia, Indonesia's on there. So yeah, it's a very funky record. It was a fun record to do, but it was just really a hard hurdle, like with Eazy not being there and then us being on a new label. So it was really a hard record to do. but it was fun at the same time because we felt like, hey, we grown now. We kind of like Ruthless was college for us, and now we're in the actual world, we're real men. You know what I mean? So because Eric was always the big brother that looked out for us and whatever we wanted to do, and then we didn't have that. I had to go into all these meetings and negotiate this, and if we could do a video for this, and we could do a video for that, and you know what I mean. So, yeah. When I talk to Eric will be like, man, what you asking me for? Just tell me what you want to do, and I got it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So.
Right.
It was a big struggle with Tommy Boy. It was a big struggle with them. It's because they didn't understand. They didn't understand, really what was going on. Shout out to Nutty, because I talked to Vin and I had talked to Tretch, about coming there. It was like, yeah, man, one thing the bread gonna be there, man, but it's kind of a different animal, but you guys are establishing, you know what I mean? So I had a lot of blessings from a lot of people that were there. Coolio, shout out, but we just weren't them. You know what I mean? We wanted to do it. We wanted to keep doing it the way we done it at Ruthless, and they never. Some labels aren't tailored to who you are. It's just how it is,
Yeah, and we talk about it from a level because we talked about this with so many artists on the shows we've had about the label politics, in terms of, one of my favorite MCs of all time, shout out to Raz Cash representing Carson, a.k.a. Arson.
Yeah. Raz Arson. I ain't heard that in a minute. That's right. I like it.
Yeah, that's a city, like you said, that's a city north of Long Beach, southwest of Compton.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
On little
but Raz,
yeah,
but Raz talked about, when he was on Priority, the issues that he went through in terms of, in terms of executives telling him who don't even listen to hip hop like that how he should rap. For those who know the story of Raz about, when he took his album, which I believe is Golden Child, and then ran off with it. For those that know their history in hip hop with that story, they know about that. But it can be a frustrating experience because it's about a creative vision that you as an artist want to realize. And when that creative vision is handicapped and even prohibited and blocked, for that matter, that is frustrating because, people don't understand when you get into the game of music and hip-hop, rap, because it becomes a business. But when it becomes a business, this is also a business you get your bank from. And when what you say on Evil That Men Do, two chickens got stuck, somebody playing with my paper. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah,
the thing about it,
go ahead.
I always look at it like what you're saying is, I look at it like what people rule out is that, say it's like you're an athlete, sometimes you don't fit with the system that they're running. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's not on you. That's not on you. You have to continue to be the artist. You know what I mean? Like you can't, what might work at this label might not work at that label. And that's what we experienced, exactly what you're saying. Like we experienced that transition from Ruthless to Tommy Boy. Being the same group, it just didn't work at Tommy Boy. Wasn't like we did anything different. We did the same thing, same formula, same everything. It just wasn't, it wasn't their program, the way they ran their system didn't suit above the law.
Look, it's like
thing when me and Russell Simmons had met. We were trying to do the deal on above the law.
Okay.
And and I've known Russell for years. I've known Russell, the first time I ever met Russell, me and Eazy was together. And, I've known him for a lot of years before that. So we was chopping it up, and big respect to Russell Simmons. Because Russell Simmons was one of the only few people that I know besides Eazy E, that was like a big guy, but just a very humble dude when me and him was doing business together. So we talked, he liked my deal proposal and everything was good. And he called me back. He said, look, man, listen. He said, I got love for you above the law. Like, I'd love to do it. He said, but I ran things by my staff, and they're not equipped to move a gangster rap group. Like, they don't have a clue how to actually sell your records. You know what I mean? And that's what I loved about him being honest. You know, he didn't just say, hey, here go a bag, I'm going to take the money and run. You know what I mean? And if it worked for you, right. He didn't do that. He was like, look, it's got to fit you and where you trying to, the progression that you're trying to make in your career. You know what I mean?
Right.
And,
right.
You know, every time I see him, I thank him for that because he's right. And I learned the lesson from that. I learned the lesson that, hey, everybody that can't fit, everybody don't have that insight, that foresight. Like you just said, brother, they don't have that. They don't look at it like that. They don't think like, okay, like you said with Raz, okay, it wasn't right for him. Like, set a priority saying, look, okay, listen. We're going to bring somebody in that understand this. We're going to bring, no, they have a big ego. They know everything, but usually what they know is what they did last, you know, and that's what Russell taught me. Like, look, hey, it ain't our thing. We don't have no gangster rap group. So, hey, man, you know, hey, I don't want to stunt your growth, you know.
And we got to talk about it, too, because shout out to Russ because a lot of people really have to understand the transition period, you know, that what was happening with Def Jam at the time. And, of course, we got to take it over to the LBC. Shout out to Warren G with the Regulator because
my brother.
When you look back at
it, my little brother, man, my little brother. Yeah,
a lot of people, when you know the history of it, and this is something Warren G really has to be commended and lauded for. He saved Def Jam. Def Jam was going under until he dropped the Regulator out.
And look what he saved with G-Funk. He saved Def Jam with G-Funk.
Yeah.
I mean, these labels didn't want nothing to do with the West Coast fan, but they did.
Lead back to where you talking on the phone with, you know.
So I mean, it came full circle.
But
they like,
you
yeah,
see
we
how
gotta go back to the West.
It was more pop. It was more pop than hip. It was more pop, but it was just hip hop. It wasn't gangster. It was just like it was like a equal balance on the scale.
Right.
It you know, it scaled out on the triple beam. It scaled out. So you have to realize that single-handedly, a record can come along and actually save that and reinvent or reinvigorate to where, like you said, then the DMXs come, and then the D's people come, and then you know what I mean? Everybody kind of, you know, because it was kind of in a transition of Reasonable Doubt come in the pre-Jay-Z days, and you know what I mean? That's Warren. You're right. That's Warren G who turned it around. You know, it gave it that marketability again. That's Def Jam gave him some energy again. You know, so with a pure record. You know what I'm saying? A pure record though. Yeah.
Man, too.
Yeah.
Now I want to ask you this too, man. This is a question coming from me personally. Now I want to talk about KMG and how influential that he was not only the group but the West Coast as well. And
absolutely.
Do you have you guys have any other unreleased albums or songs from him?
Yeah, we do. We have about 20 records that we done like the year we were working on the album the year he passed. So what me and DJ Kaz is trying to do, we're trying to do our book. We're trying to do a biopic, and we're trying to put our last music out. Me, him, and Cocaine have a lot of records we done that ain't came out yet. It's incredible shit, too. Some crazy, man. Like, you know, I will never do another Above the Law record, without KMG. You know what I'm saying? That's why I won't do another Above the Law record. I will never do a record without my brother. You know what I'm saying?
Understood.
So,
Understood.
You know, never. I will never do another record without my brother. That's why. You know, that's why the name change comes. That's why all these things that you see happening is to protect the legacy that me and him had vocally. Like, it was always me and him, you know what I mean? Like, there's nobody else. And then with Cocaine coming in, filling in and doing his thing as a three-headed monster. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's always us. So without him, I will never do a record that's called Above the Law, ever. You know what I mean? Because it won't be Above the Law without him. You know, we started that way from the sandbox, and his voice is the most distinctive voice you ever heard in hip hop, just as well as mine. The great thing about it is that you don't. The best thing that I had an opportunity to have, I had an opportunity to have a KMG. You know what I'm saying? So where I could just be a madman going crazy, and he could be my equalizer. You know what I'm saying? I had that. I had an opportunity to have a person like that in my whole career, you know. to just, level me out. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. He's one of the most incredible. He's my friend. He's my dear friend. I miss him every day. And he was one of the most incredible, creative guys I ever worked with my whole life. You know what I mean? Like, it's just ridiculous, man. The things that I could tell you, me and him wrote Living Like Hustlers when we was like fresh out of high school on a bus. And we wrote a couple of them songs. We wrote Murder Rap, Untouchables. And we was hustling. You know what I'm saying? We didn't even have whips and nothing. We was just coming up pack hustling, like moving around. You know what I'm saying? On public transportation type shit, like moving around, making moves. You know what I'm saying? Then he got a little whip, and we were that young. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of those records we was writing as we was like grinding shit out. Like, you know what I'm saying? I wrote like Murder Rap. We wrote on the bus, Untouchables. Just rolling around. That's we were kids, man. You know what I'm saying? So for people to not understand how much. There is no us without him, you know what I mean? Because me and DJ Chaos, we had been together in high school, doing, parties, DJing, doing stuff like that. But when we linked up with him and started doing, we always knew each other from the Sandbox, but we started linking up and we created that Above the Law sound. Man, there is no, you don't have that without him. It don't happen without him. You know what I mean? I like the props I get. But like I tell all of them, I was like, man, listen, if I wasn't, I wouldn't be who I am if you guys wouldn't have followed my lead. If you guys wouldn't have gotten in a car with me. So for him to just roll with me on just a dream, and how impactful his voice was to what we were doing collectively in hip-hop, period. Not just the West Coast, but in hip-hop, period. He's one of the most phenomenal rappers that was out there in that era. So,
which takes us to the next segue, y'all. 1998, because you all are legends.
Yeah, legends. Yeah, which is my favorite album that I produced. My favorite album. Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Go
ahead. Tell us about it.
Legends. Legends was originally supposed to be produced by me and Isaac Hayes. That should blow your mind. It was really supposed to be produced by me and him.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would go over budget because of just to do it with him. I would go over budget. So what I did is, since I knew Isaac Hayes and my family, for my family, and I would call him and we would go over shit. I'd be like, should I use this? Or what about the move like this, move like that? So he kind of gave me the vision to orchestrate it like a big-ass, the record's really orchestrated. You know what I mean? So that's why it goes from classical music to country music to funk, dark funk, to like jazz. That's why it jumps around like that. That's why I got on Echo. The crazy little, wacky little jazzy. Then it goes to fucking Promise Me. We wrote Promise Me. Me and Cam G was at a strip club one night, right?
Perfect place for inspiration.
At the time we were recording Legends, and we heard Luther Vandross Promise Me. And it was like, man, that'd be dope to do a record to. So I went home that night. It had to be about that morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning, and done Promise Me, like, right there, brought it to the studio. I was like, damn, that's incredible. And we cut it, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. That album, the banjo, the funny thing about Deep as a Root, I did that track for TLC.
Oh,
with the
wow.
banjos and the funk, but that was for TLC. Blown, sometimes I can't fight the feeling. It's just like their shit was. Every day's on, no. That's like for TLC. I wrote that for TLC. You know what I mean? But when I came back to the studio with it, I was like, man, we rapping to that shit. Fuck them bitches. It was like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so that all of the Sumner days, that was our old spot. That was a tribute to our life album. You know, Legends was a tribute to our life. Like, everything we went through with our life, that was a whole tribute to our life. You know, it's incredible. Some people tell me that heard Legends, they like, man, that's the most incredible album y'all done. It wasn't as big because that was our exit record. You know, because when I finished Legends, I turned the record in, and I didn't give a fuck what the label said. I didn't care. I wanted Adventures of to be the video. We wanted Adventures of to be the video. We wanted to do it our own way. But they was like, oh, well, shit, y'all ain't going to listen to us no more. Y'all out the door. So I had Wendy Day. Super shout out to Wendy Day. She got us out of that deal. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
In the midst of that album. That's how Wendy Day got us out of that deal. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Wendy Day and the Rap Coalition. Yeah.
I called Wendy, and me and Wendy were very good friends. I was like, Wendy, you know, she's like, hey, give me a couple of days. She came back and said, hey, you know, they sounded y'all release, y'all good. This was in the middle of our record, you know. We were fine with that because we went through so much doing Legends. We went through so much, and it was a record that we wanted to do. You know what I mean? And then for them to be like halfway lukewarm on promoting our record and all that crap. We was like, man, we out of here, man. We bust our ass. And one thing you'll know about when you know the history of Above the Law is worker bees, homie. You know what I'm saying? We went to work. That stuff that you heard was us. You know what I mean? And I stand on that. You know, and you can ask my little brother Cocaine the same thing. Hey, we stand on that. When them people say we need to do a record, we go in and do the record. We don't party. We don't fuck off. We go in and do the records. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We put our all into it, man. So for us to not get, like, for somebody to act all lukewarm and funny and we got to have 100 meetings just to get, you know, our shoestrings tied up, we was like, cool, man. We done, you know?
Which brings us to 1999, Westworld Records, and y'all made it a point from the beginning when y'all talked about, you know, we get to do what we want, you know, Forever Rich Thug. I mean, there was just, I mean, where can I start? I mean, Thug in Your Life, I mean, P.I.M.P. Shout out to Young Tennis Safe Cracker, I mean, you know, Shaq, you know, I mean, dude, I mean, the record was just like, it was just dope, man.
Chill. Well, I mean, the thing about Rich Thugs, which was cool, was Rich Thugs was like being back at Ruthless. Like, I started a label, you know, I started Westworld Records, you know, for us to have, you know, our own nest egg, you know.
Right.
And it was to do what the fuck we wanted to do. You know, I came off of, you know, a record that I done before that, Executive Decisions, my first solo record that I done.
Right.
Executive Decisions, and then I put out Above the Law's album. Like I said, hey, we went in and did what the fuck we wanted to do on that album. You know what I'm saying? It was an incredible time. We owned our own studio. We owned our own self. We got behind our own records. We did everything we want to do. The unfortunate thing that happened, what happens is when you deal with different people, you know, and you're trying to move one way and they trying to move another way, for us, like when you're dealing with certain indie executives, we needed Eazy E who understood, like, okay, this is how we're going to flow. And that's why we transitioned into Death Row, because I wouldn't have taken the executive job at Death Row if I couldn't run Death Row. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be signed anywhere, you know. But I did need Westworld to have that back, and is what when we came off of Rich Thugs is what Suge told me he wanted to do. You know, he wanted to allow me to have a major backing with Above the Law still being independent. So that's when we was going to Death Row, and we were working on an album called Diary of a Drug Dealer right after, because that was a transition. I was bringing Westworld over to Death Row, you know. But I took the vice president job because I you know, when I fell out with K-Tail and all of them, and they didn't understand, the money was great, but they didn't really understand, like, I need this kind of backing for Above the Law. I like the independent, but I'm used to having the Sonys and the Warner Brothers and the, you know, that kind of thing behind it. You know, so when I went to Death Row, I wanted to take Above the Law over there. I wanted to take Westworld in general over there and actually have the Interscope backing and, you know, but still be able to do it how I wanted to do it. So it felt like a good fit at the time, you know, so.
Definitely. Now, what do artists have to understand, Uncle, on having on being independent? Because we see, especially now with this day in social media and you know, that DIY, do-it-yourself aesthetic. To make a name for yourself, let alone be able to, you know, have people listen to your music is one thing. But what is it like in terms of still needing that financial backing of a corporation like Uncle E, you know, out of the Bay, Uncle E40, you know, with Job, you know, basically Sick With It has been independent for over 30 years, but he just has a distribution deal, but he does not need their money because he you know, Sick With It is self-sustained, right?
Because that's what you don't see. The thing I think the biggest thing that we misconstrue about business is the distribution aspect of it. You don't have enough manpower to have your product everywhere at once. So you have to attach yourself to somebody who that's what they do. You know what I mean? Now you can control, you know, you can control the climate, the temperature. You can control the flow and all of that. But you're not sitting with, at the time, like say for instance back then, you're not sitting with Best Buy and Warehouse Records or Tower Records or, you know, FYI Records. You're not sitting with their executives, so you don't have a clue, but you come to a certain distributor, they putting you in all those record places, in all those record outlets, just like now. You know, you with a distributor, you need people to instantly know where your record, know where to get it. You need to, you know what I'm saying? The greatest thing now is that you can market to people direct to consumer now because of the outlets, because you have you have social media. You have the internet, you have all those things, but you still have to be set up to where they're coming to something that's monetized. They're just not looking at shit for free. You know, they're not. If they want to buy your record, they can go right here, click on whatever, you know, or they can stream it wherever that monetizes you. You know, so you have to be aware that is one aspect when you're talking about doing it. That's how things end up being protected as well. You know, but it doesn't mean that you can't. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. Look at Psychopathic. Look at Tech Nine's label. You know, Strange Music. Look at those guys. Those guys are powerhouses on an indie level. You know, talk about they move records like big labels move. You know what I mean? They tour like they on Sony. You know what I mean? So, but if you go into those establishments, they're so well ran business wise. Even though they're independent, they're really ran really well. You know, and it's what I encourage guys to do is to attach yourself to, first of all, understand the financial aspect of it. And what I'm saying by financial, where you putting your money into and what you put it into. You know what I mean? Not fluff. Put your money into things that actually turn over a profit for you. Get to the consumers that actually buy records, that download you, stream your music or whatever, you know, and be a person that's like, if you set up a website, you know, just like Eazy E, hey man, they gotta come to buy our music, they gotta come to, you know what I mean? You drive them right to somewhere where they can buy your music or buy merchandise or whatever it may be, whatever you're doing, you know, in that aspect. But that's, where you going? Hold on. Yeah, so that's okay. So that's where I think the guys are strong at nowadays, but they're totally independent with what they're doing. But I think, and I tell everybody, all the young cats, I said, listen, like me, I've developed companies. I'm building companies. I was a part of companies developing, and now I have my own couple of companies that I'm developing. I've already developed that are out on the market now. What I realize to do is always set myself up like Sony or Warner Brothers or these big companies, because to me, that's what people respect, and I'm talking about consumers. They respect, like, when you're set up to where, okay, I can buy his records, I can patronize him, I can, you know what I mean? Don't just be like a back alley guy, you know, with a brown paper bag, you know what I mean? Because you don't have to be on Sony to be set up like Sony. You don't have to be on Warner Brothers to be set up like Warner Brothers. You just have to be like, okay, I got this to you coming straight to my page or my product, or buy here, buy there, you know what I'm saying? when you putting up flyers or putting out, sending out, e-blast or whatever, they're coming straight to you to buy your stuff from you. It's set up, official,
That's game, and we got a little time left, but we got to ask you this too, because all of your albums y'all have done are classics, which brings me to the next question: physical copies. Okay. How important are those still are today? Because me and King got them, we got them.
Mm-hmm.
Some other people
I showed them
didn't,
the Black Mafia Life the other day.
Yeah, that was dope. You mean the physicals? I think the physicals. I think that the physicals, because they're like books. Think about what we're saying. Like if you have an e-book, what is that? But if you physically have a book, like you have something that that's the actual thing that they did. Like that's it. Like what I mean? Like it's always important, because those are the things that if you say your grandkids will have a value. You know what I mean? Like, who's going to have your old phone with your music downloaded on it? You're going to throw that phone in the trash, probably. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're going to throw that, once the new computer come out, you're going to, I got it on hard drive. Okay, but if you physically have that, that's something, a tangible item that documents the time. Like, y'all have something that was done, like a Black Mafia Life record that was done in the early 90s, or Uncle Sam Curse that's done in the early 90s. You actually have something that takes you back to that time that you can hold in your hand and say, damn, I remember when I went to the record store. Damn, I remember when you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
20 years from now, you're not going to remember what's in your new phone that's your hand or some shit. Like, I don't have it on my hand phone. You know what I'm saying? But you're going to have Living Like Hustlers. I mean, you're going to have Uncle Sam's Curse. You feel me? That's why that is important. To physically have something, because it takes you back to a time in a moment. You know what I mean? So think about that.
Yeah, because we've seen what some of those old Above the Law records go for on eBay, and we're like, ooh, we're glad we got them.
That's why I said in the beginning, I'm like, man, look, if y'all want to hear the rest of that VSOP hard copy, explicit copy, y'all better pay that $80.
Like a chicken sandwich, $2. Whatever.
Yeah, man.
Like mashed potatoes or something. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Saying, King?
Yeah, I was saying, that's what I was saying in the beginning. I was saying that's why I said in the beginning when you play VSOP, y'all got to pay that $70. You want to hear the whole thing.
There you go. Yeah, and plus you get the physicals, and you, like I said, you get to see the liner notes. You get to hold it. You get to, you know what I mean? Like it's an experience. That's why I think that those things are important. But I heard, what I just heard? I was in a meeting, and they were telling me how physical wax is coming back. Like people want wax. Like a lot of people are buying wax now. Like, and that's crazy. Like, and that's incredible, man. Yeah, because I guess they make the turntable that hooks up to the computer now or something. So, which is ill, but people are good. They say wax sell, things, vinyl is up. I was like, wow, that's incredible.
What's wild too? That there's a guy that owns a vinyl store, and he's still in business, making more money than ever. He owns it in Tennessee, and I shared that article the other day on my Facebook. He's still making money off CDs and vinyl. Yeah,
I bet people fly in to go to his store too. That's incredible.
He got it all.
Say it again. What's up?
And he has it all too. Vinyl, tape.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, because that's like I said, having physicals that's something that you want. You know what I mean? Like for instance, okay, think about it. Drake's a big artist. Okay, he's downloaded, right? No physicals, right? Oh, that's incredible. But what do you have to remember about him? Your iPhone 3. Is it in your iPhone? I can just always go pull it up and move it over. Okay, but that's not, you physically got that Drake album, like, you physically got that Lil Wayne album in your hand, like, you know what I'm saying? Physical is a very important, it's like a book. It's like, okay, yeah, you got all these e-books, but if you physically had them books, it said I held it in my hand and read it, I'm passing it down. Okay, like y'all records. Y'all got kids. Y'all passing those things down to them. Y'all gonna pass them down to them. Your CD collection, your vinyl collection. You're gonna pass them down to them.
That's true.
You know, it's physical. You can't pass down your passcode to them. And I'm gonna go with it. Yeah, my daddy used to like them. Huh?
Exactly. Or if you're a real player, who remember this? The Black Book.
Cool.
Or if you pass the Black Book
with the CD, that Black Mafia Life, you got a story that go with that Black Mafia Life CD you got. You know what I'm saying? That download, you don't got no story with that. I remember the day I downloaded it. You don't got no story with that.
That's true.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, you also got some other business. Tell us about the Rock Boys Honeys joint that you got going.
The magazine, yeah. I have a digital magazine coming out catered to urban models. It's called Rock Boy Honeys. Well, actually, it's called Rock Boys. And it's primarily, you know, just urban models. And, you know, some might call me the Black Hugh Hef. I just call it just.
We're good with that. We are good with that. We know what Hugh Hef and Larry Flint did. We are good with that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, I put a little, I put a little edgy, sexy to it, but I try to keep it, above board too. I also have Mansa Musa, which is my new name. I go up under Mansa Musa Royal Lifestyle, which is a whole lifestyle brand that I have, which it stems from clothing to we make cigars, wine, cologne, everything you name. Me and my brother Mustafa, we eventually want to start building hotels, and restaurants.
Oh, wow.
And stuff like that. It's a whole lifestyle brand. Yes, it's called Mansa Musa Royal Lifestyle. That's at MansaMusaRoyalty.com. And then Rockwell Honeys will be dropping. We just finished the first issue. We're trying to drop it, any day now. And that'll be at rockmorehoney.com. You download it free. You subscribe for free. And it's also it's going to be a modeling network, where different types of models are featured on it. Big girls, showgirls, glamour girls, bikini girls, lingerie girls, a whole little Rock Boy universe. And also I have a film company called King Lion Films that I just launched. And my first TV, and I got Musa TV, which is my television network, at MusaTV.net, and we're launching King Lion Films. We're launching our first television show, which is I directed, produced, and starred in, called The Black Godfather, and it'll be coming out this summer. So the first season will come out this summer. So.
And for a lot of people that don't understand the significance of that name, Mansa Musa, he was an African king many years ago.
Man.
For one time was the richest man in the world, not in Africa,
exactly.
In the world.
And I took that name on not because of like the rich part of it. I only used the Mansa Musa Royal Lifestyle and took the name Mansa Musa because the name in layman terms means king warrior. That's what it means. Mansa means king. Musa means warrior. Now in Islam it means King Moses. But in very layman terms, those two words mean king warrior. So. Yeah, and that's why I took that on, because I feel like I'm a king now, and I was a warrior before when I was fighting all these battles in the streets and being. So for me, it's more of a evolution of me as an artist, coming from Code 187, Big Hutch, and now becoming Mansa Musa. So we only put the royal lifestyle twist on it because we want that people that look like me, like us, we want them to feel proud about who they are. Like we want them to live royal and. In my mind, me and my family, that's what we strive to try to show people that come from the struggle, that you can be royal. You can have the best out of life. You don't have to always keep resulting. And we have to empower our people from the projects and the ghettos and, and teach them how to fish and not teach them how to, like, cope with settling for less, So cause we're really strong in our black in our black existence, not like our black, like, this and back in the day. No, right now, like how we can upstand being you know, people that come from like crazy backgrounds and say, hey, look, man, no more, man. You know, most of the guys that I run with that are very intelligent brothers, they ex-cons, but they realize to unplug from those things and say, look, man, we want to enterprise, we want to build things, we want to create jobs, we want to create opportunities, and that's the thing about building companies. Things that you do, that's what you do. You create opportunities, you know, brother.
And that's what you were speaking on the Forever Rich Thugs album. Yeah, you were speaking on that on the Forever Rich Thugs album. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to create opportunities from, and that's what I was saying to you earlier about these guys. Yeah, it's okay, little whatever you is, but if you ain't going back to your community, like the guy who put diamonds in his head, I'm like, okay, that's cool, but how much have you put into your community? Well, that's fine. I'm not telling nobody not to do. That's fine. It's great, but what are you doing for the neighborhood you in, huh?
He spent $24 million.
Chicken.
Yeah. $24 million for a diamond in his head. I was just like, you know what?
and think about what we're saying. It's not nothing wrong with that part of it. It's more so to where, like, okay, if you look at your community, it's in ruins. You couldn't have did anything better with that. I'm not knocking you. That's fine, but don't have a conversation with me like it's all bad where I'm from. Well, you got a $25 million diamond in your head. It must not be too bad. Everybody must be driving Bentleys and Rolls Royces because you got a $25 million. Don't talk about that no more. Talk about how good your life is. You know what I mean? Don't talk about the struggle no more. I'm just being real. Don't talk about the struggle no more because you got a $25 million diamond in your head, but it's bad. It's in ruins where you from. So it's bad when my hood and I'm going to kill motherfuckers. It's always death. And the police ain't got it. And the government don't do shit. But you got a $25 million diamond in your head.
You can't be a gangster. You can't be a gangster in a rap.
Bad where I'm from, ain't nobody got nothing. But I got a $25 million diamond in my head. I don't want to hear you talk about that. Talk about the $25 million diamond in your head. Flying in private jets and fucking bad bitches and drinking champagne and partying with Jay-Z. That's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear how bad it is in your neighborhood because you have a $25 million diamond in your head. You know? That's all I'm saying. I ain't mad at the $25 million diamond. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at Elon Musk for making money. I'm not mad for none of these people making money. But one thing I know about them people that make money, when you go to their establishment, they're employing folks. Okay? You can say all what you want to. They employ people. They feeding families. They employing people. They building companies and employing folks. I don't know what the part about a $25 million diamond in your head got to do with you helping where you from. And I'm not saying that you can't ball out and have fun and still help where you from. I've seen many folks do it. Okay? So let's don't get into a shit slinging on Lil Uzi Vert for doing what he did in his head. I'm just saying I would much not rather hear about how hard it is where you from. Don't talk to me how big of a gangster you are when you got a $25 million diamond in your head and how hardcore it is. It ain't too hard for you. Seems kind of easy if you can do that with your head. Okay?
Moron.
Yeah. Just talk about your $25 million diamond head life. That's it. Don't talk about nothing else.
Don't talk about. Matter of fact, we could go on to say he could just change his name from Lil Uzi because he ain't shooting no gun.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. So, and that's my point in all of it. It's not nothing. See, what people get off on, they think like people got to live this fucked up life and still not to look out. Like they got to be like, oh man, you know, they could be doing this, they could be doing that. Yeah, but LeBron James got hundreds of millions, but he still built a school where he from. He got hundreds of millions, but he still built a school where he from. He didn't stop flossing. It don't stop you from flossing. You know what I'm saying? He has the right to say something about how fucked up shit is when he's a part of trying to help the cause. You don't.
Right.
You know, now I don't know what he does for a community or not, but I don't think he put $25 million into Philly. I don't think so. But it's $25 million in his head. You know what I mean? Now that ain't to throw Lil Uzi Vert under the bus or nothing. I'm just saying, like, hey man, you kind of hey. I'm with the cloud. I'm with all that. And who knows? You know, maybe he'll have an epiphany. Be like, man, that's kind of crazy. I did that to my head, and my people are suffering. You know what I mean? So maybe one of his aunties or his grandmama sitting down and be like, boy, you know it's hard out here. You know it's rough out here for people now. You know, You run around with diamonds in your head and stuff. It's cute, but you know, maybe I don't know, brother. But that's the type of things that I look at when what me along with my brother Mustafa try to do. We're trying to build something with the companies that I'm developing and I'm launching. You know, it's kind of bigger. Like my cast and my show, they're just people who along the way work with me that I'm just giving jobs to. You know what I'm saying? And trying to give them a platform to display their talent. You know what I mean? Like, just like the people who develop, you know, help me develop my companies, they're just guys on a come up who people would just overlook. You know what I mean? So for me, that's what I'm trying to do moving forward as an OG, as an unk, or whatever y'all want to call me. You know, I'm trying to make a difference and set up platforms, you know, for many, many years to come. So.
Yeah, man. As we about to wrap this up, man, let me be the first to say, man, we want to thank you for taking the time to chop it up with us. It was one of our best shows that we've done, most important shows, because we wanted to let the masses know your contributions to the culture and they're not overlooked.
That's right.
You always appreciate it.
Thank you. Well,
and
man, you know, y'all can have me on anytime, man, and I'm gonna send y'all, you know, some stuff on the show. You know, once we finish the TV series, I'm gonna send you guys the first season. You know what I mean? And you know, and get some gear out to y'all as well, man. And thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. It's very humbling, man. You know, like I said, man, I've been blessed, you know, to do something that I love all my life, man. You know, and thanks to fans, you know, for supporting us all these years, man. You know,
Look, Uncle Hutch, you got two fans that have been with you and the crew for over 30 years and always will be, man. You know, we love you for what you've done. Much love to the crew. Shout out to Pomona, man. You know, Uncle Coke, you know, Uncle Sugar Free, all the OGs,
That's right.
man. You know,
Absolutely.
Shout out to Mr. Marcus, too. Shout out to Mr. Marcus who represent Pomona, too, man. What a good guy.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So shout out to all y'all. I haven't talked to Marcus
in a minute. I was hanging out with him too. That's crazy. I just was hanging out with him. Yeah.
Good dude, man. I got to say,
he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was out here a couple years ago.
Really tight. Him and my brother Mustafa was really tight. Yeah. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Yeah. But, you know, like I said, man, we thank you so much. You know, you're always welcome back anytime. You know, we appreciate you. We want to just take this time, of course, to acknowledge, like King said, you know, your contributions and to give you flowers, you know, while you're here. You know, let you know we appreciate
for
you.
Sure.
And much continued success, you know, in doing
thank you,
man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. We're coming. We staying continued. I mean, you know, we got a lot of stuff on the burner coming up. You know, we got the new Me and Cocaine have an album. We did the AOGF album that we just finished up. You know, we trying to get that out. Probably summer, end of the year. It's an incredible record. You know, it's 10, 11 songs that, you know, y'all ain't never heard before. It's really incredible. You know, we got the Master Musa album coming out. You know, the single's out right now, Life of a King. You can check the video out on YouTube. It's available as well on all the platforms. So, yeah, you know, we still continue to doing the music and everything and support everything that we continue to do, man, as a collective. You know, we're trying to get some album, trying to get the album and the book and everything together. Me and Cal's trying to get all that stuff together and drop that, you know, in regards to, you know, all the Above the Law fans, you know, getting that to them. And shoot, I mean, that's it, man. That's nice, man. Thanks for having me, and I'll definitely be back, you know.
Yes, sir.
Most def, man. We're going to definitely stay in touch, man.
You need me to tell everybody where to follow me at, or are you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, plug your socials.
Oh, yeah. Okay, on my IG, you can meet me. You can link. Chop it up with me. It's my real shit. Master Musa Royal on IG, and you know, you also can come to, you know, Rock Boy Honey's magazine on there as well. And Twitter is Code 187. You know, and that's where I'm at. You know, just holla at me, man. I'm here, man. I'm here for y'all. You know.
Definitely. We're going to keep sending you some of that history for you to post up, man. Let the people know, man, you are integral, you are vital, you are essential, and not in that order.
There you go.
You know.
All right, for sure. Thanks, man. Thanks,
yes,
y'all,
sir.
brothers, man. God bless y'all, man.
Appreciate y'all.
Be safe. All right.
God bless.
100. 2.
Mm-hmm.